Today's sponsor is Loot Crate. For less than $20 a month, Loot Crate gives the geek in you a special treat every month. You get a box full of 6 to 8 items of gamer and pop culture licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique one-of-a-kind items, and more. This month, we're cowering in fear at the return of villains. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate our darker side with epic items from Marvel, an exclusive DC figure, hell yes, a unique wearable we've never put in a crate before, it's a huge crate, and more. That's them saying it's a huge crate. I imagine it's a very big crate. Anyways, this is going to be bad in, the good way. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when the cutoff happens, that's it. It's over. So go to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny to save $3 on your subscription today. Also, Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest way to create a beautiful website, blog, or online store for you and your ideas. Squarespace features an elegant interface, beautiful templates, and incredible 24/7 customer support. Try Squarespace at squarespace.com and enter the offer code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to get 10% off. Squarespace. Build it beautiful. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, you're wearing your best gray shirt, huh?
I'm wearing my gray shirt / salmon short combo.
You haven't let go of VidCon. You were down in VidCon. You haven't let go of the sun and the heat.
It's not that I want to let go of the sun and the heat. It's hot out right now.
It hasn't let go of us.
It has
It's
not.
followed us. Everywhere we go, it comes back with us. And I don't like that one bit, Greg.
Pure one, Tim Gettys.
Hello.
Then over here, the Pride Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
It's good to be here with you today.
It's good to be here with you, Colin. I like you a lot.
Thank you.
Are you comfortable over there?
I'm fine. Why
Good.
wouldn't I be?
You're doing the lean back. I like that. Like you're low riding.
Well, I'm trying to just be
Like
comfortable.
Fat Joe.
Classic Colin Moriarty.
Yeah.
Classic Colin Moriarty.
Vintage.
And in the middle, making his return to the GameOverGreggy show, Gary Whitta. Author, movie writer, former video game journal, washed out. Couldn't do it. Couldn't hack
the
it.
list runs out pretty quickly, doesn't it?
How are you, Gary?
I'm very well. I'm very glad to be back here. I enjoyed being on here last time so much that I was champing at the bit to get back and go for round 2.
First off, good use of champing. That's how you can tell you're a writer.
Thank you.
You didn't say chomping. Number 2, very few people request to come back.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. No,
I wonder why.
Yeah, I know. It's
Most people request we never talk to them again.
How many return guests have you had?
3 max, maybe.
Who?
No, have we had anyone?
Return guests? We have
Andrew
to
Renee
have
has been on more than one Gamescast. Game Over Greggy show.
But like Aisha Tyler never came back.
on.
Rosenbaum
You
never
might be
came
the
back.
first.
You
You
might
might
want
be
to
the
look
first.
at that.
Yeah.
Well,
We have a survey for you to fill out later.
Damon's been back. Damon's been back before. Yeah. But yeah, most of the time we just burn the bridge and salt the earth once the show is over.
Yeah, I mean, there's always another sucker, right?
Yeah, someone else is always going to be on here. You're back because now Abomination's out. It's here.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
It's a real thing.
I should be on. I'm really not here for my health. Last time I was here, I was promoting the book when we were crowdfunding it.
Right.
And in part because of the influence that this media titan that the Kind of Funny empire has become.
Yeah.
And its influence. We did successfully crowdfund the book, and it's now been published. It actually officially comes out this week. So there's a real thing that we made through the magic of crowdfunding, and this copy is for you. I'll sign it. You can give it away to your audience.
That's right. I want you to sign it, and we're gonna put it up. Kevin almost fell through the wall finally.
Jesus Christ, Kevin.
I fell into the seat.
Okay, maybe you should just sit down next time.
No, this is funner.
All right, fine. You sign this, Gary.
Do I need to sign it right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that way people actually know. This is like our certificate of authenticity. If you would like to win this, you need to go over to kindafunny.com/forums. Look for the post I'm putting up on the Game Over Greggy show. What do they call it? Forum thread?
Subforum thread 3.
Subforum
I think
threads
that's what it's
3.
called,
And you'll
yeah.
see it.
Signed.
There it is. That's real. Show it to the crowd. One of you will get
Beautiful.
randomly selected from that to get it. I will PM you the details.
And I should point out, you cannot even get this now. We did the hardcover version, was done just for people when we were crowdfunding the book, and this was for backers. If you
yes.
walk into a bookstore, you will find a paperback, but the hardback's very hard to find. So this is actually a limited.
That's why it's called
It's a
hard-
very rare item. Yes, hardback.
Yes,
Because
hard
unless
to
you
find.
backed it, It's hard
and the
to
backing
get.
part.
That's
Man,
right.
there's so much going into this.
See, always
I like
thinking.
it.
You're always thinking.
I was going to
Always
say
thinking.
real quick, I love watching you sign because you sign with the book like kind of held perpendicular to your arm. because
Yeah,
you're
I
lefty.
actually, I feel a lot less. I've always had this really just kind of like, kind of handwriting gesture. It's not very good. Like the way I hold my pen is kind of like that, like just like a kind of a malformed claw. And then I don't know why, but ever since I was a kid, I can't write like that. The thing is sideways, and I kind of write.
Yeah, it's awesome.
up,
Did
down.
did no one notice that? 'Cause
I
I was pretty fascinated.
You
by
know
it.
who else does that? Obama.
Really?
And once I discovered that, he's left-handed and he holds his. Watch the next time, like he signs a bill. He's like this, and it's really weird. Now I feel better about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was just me.
Now
And you got to show off your cool watch, so it makes sense.
Oh,
You're
he's
right.
like,
You're doing
I got
it.
a
I like
cool,
that.
Do you
Big
like the
fan of
Apple
that.
Watch?
I'm actually really enjoying it. Yeah,
Yeah?
I like it. I did. It's really weird because it's still rare enough that it's kind of an oddity. Like Walgreens has Apple Pay, and so when I went into Walgreens yesterday to buy those new biscuit and gravy flavored Lay's potato chips that came out,
You're a world travel man.
as you do, I wanted to try the new flavors.
Yeah.
And I bought some other stuff as well. And you do the thing where you just go like that to pay with your watch, and like you can't do it yet without it being a conversation. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like you just did some magical thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. Mostly what I like it for, the two things I like it for most is when I get a message, you just go like that, you just glance at it. You don't have to take your phone out of your pocket anymore.
Sure.
And I lose my phone a lot. And there's a little thing on here where you just press
Find
the
my
button and it
iPhone.
sends a little sonar ping to the phone.
Oh.
So you can find it. And it has actually, you wouldn't know it to look at me, but it has actually helped me exercise more. Because it gives you little, you understand the appeal of trophies and stuff like that. You get the
Oh,
little,
yeah, big time.
Congratulations, you burned this many calories today. Here's a little shiny thing. Like, it totally works.
When Mel B's Fitness came out on the PlayStation 3, I thought about going for the platinum, and then you looked at the list, you're like, these trophies are not good. I'm
So
not
you
going to
didn't
work
actually
out.
do it?
It was like workout for a year. It wasn't like an attainable thing.
Crazy
If
platinum.
it would have been like workout for 2 weeks, by the time you finish the 2 weeks, maybe I've tricked myself into thinking
The
it's
one
fun.
platinum trophy that will forever elude you. Because it actually involves you getting off your ass.
All right, Gary, you can leave anytime. Now.
Okay, thank you.
So yes, Abomination's out right now.
Yes,
Everyone-
so
The show's not live.
When does this go out?
It'll go up Thursday night for patrons, so they can go buy it right now.
So as of yesterday, this is out.
Oh,
you
I
can
like
go
what
to,
you did
you can go
there.
to Amazon, you can go to Barnes and Noble, you can go anywhere, and you should be able to find
Are
it.
you going to drive around to bookstores on Wednesday looking for it and going in and signing it and like posing
Do you
by
want
it?
to go to a bookstore with me and I'll pretend like I don't know you and I'm like,
that
wait a
would,
minute.
that would be the we should
can-
film
you
that
can,
for sure.
you can be my shill.
Yeah, that'd be
I love
awesome.
that.
I'll totally do that. We'll
It's
sell
like, wow,
at
this
least
book
2
looks
copies.
really interesting. Yeah, we'll sell at least 2 that way. If you live in San Francisco, I donated 2 copies to Borderlands Bookstore on Valencia Street in San Francisco.
Okay.
And I just said, here, look, do whatever you want with them. And so they might still be there. I don't know. You can go
Okay.
and get one that way as well.
That's
You
awesome.
don't have to answer your stupid contest. You just go there.
Well, you should.
But not everyone lives in San
I'm
Francisco.
sure on every one of these episodes, Kevin, we've put a link to the Amazon page where
It
you can
is-
go buy it
It is. I have to admit, it is definitely a cool.
in the description.
Oh.
I'll
Yes,
send you the
I'll
link.
give you the link. It definitely is a thrill. I haven't actually seen it myself, but a lot of retailers for some reason broke the street date. So,
Jerks.
so people have been sending me pictures, going, "Oh, here's your book on the shelf in like Barnes and Noble in Whitehaven, Connecticut, or whatever." And
Yeah.
it's cool. It's
Yeah, that's really
to
cool.
see.
I like that.
Yeah,
You've made it, Gary Whitta.
I've made it. Well, I mean, look,
You're back.
The evidence is all around you.
the only guest ever, and I will say, all credit to your show. I got probably more than any other source that was cited. People that messaged me on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, who are interested in the book, said that they heard about it on this show.
Good job, best
This
friends.
show.
So you are a media influencer now.
That's what I
Yes.
say.
You're
We made it, guys.
Yeah.
We're
You're
internet
officially
superstars.
We're
a
internet
taste
superstars.
maker.
Damn right.
That.
All right. I like that a lot. Now tell all the people, tell Buffalo Wild Wings that, and then just have them deliver the wings here every day. That's what we need.
You've not been able to get any traction on that one yet?
No, not yet. They're too big for us. They're too big for their britches with their commercials where they're stopping football games and doing stuff. One day, we'll get them.
That's the brass ring.
The spicy garlic brass wing. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, go over to patreon.com/kindafunny. What are you shaking your head at?
I just every once in a while I catch Colin in the confidence monitor over there when we hit the table, and he so obviously just chooses not to hit the table every single time. He makes a point of it to the point where it's almost a silent protest at this point.
Sure.
He's not hitting this table ever.
It's one of those
never
things
happened.
where
It's not my tradition.
exactly. It's one of those things where Colin.
It's your tradition. You've been on the show since episode 1.
But I didn't design the tradition.
Colin doesn't
mainstay of
want
the
to be
show.
a follower of it, and so he wants to march to his beat of his own drum. But now he's become a follower of his own march, where he can never come back. He's not doing it because he doesn't believe in the pound. He's doing it because he wants to act like he's different, but he's really the same because he won't pound. Thank you. The defense rests. Patreon.com/kindoffunny, where we put it up early each and every Friday for you to go get. You get it. You listen. You have a great time. But if you don't have any money to give us, it's no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindoffunny, where we break it out topic by topic, day by day. What now?
Your intellect is dizzying. That logic.
I got
just
him.
broke my brain.
Yeah. It's going to be a great show for Nick, everybody. Day by day until the entire thing posts for free as an MP3 and video there. So I'm going to start with my topic.
All right.
Now, here's my thing about you, Gary Whitta.
Uh-oh.
You
You're very tan, Gary Whitta.
Well, it's like, as you said, it's been hot lately.
Yeah, but we
And as much as
hide
I-
indoors.
Well, I have a vampiric relationship with the sun, and especially right now where it's like, what is it, like 8:30 when the sun finally starts to go down.
Finally goes away.
My house, my living room, we have these big windows, and it faces west. So pretty much that whole period from like 5 to 8 is just. We had to buy blackout curtains. It was just miserable. I cannot. I much prefer autumn and winter are my favorite seasons. I like it when it
Yes.
gets dark early, when you can kind of like bundle up a little bit.
Colin's like, yeah.
That's my favorite part of the. I mean, it is. It feels kind of churlish to be complaining about like having hot weather, but I'm not constructed for this
oh,
kind
no.
of weather.
We all moved to San Francisco because we were promised fall all the time.
There's no native San Franciscans here. Is that right?
Me.
Okay. Well, and even as a native San Franciscan, you're not used to this
Oh,
kind of
hell
hot weather,
no.
right?
I
Used to
hate
it
this.
being just kind of pleasant and mild. And
Yeah, cold and just nice.
really
nice.
Anything over like as soon as you start getting into the 70s, like even at 70, I'm like enough. I think the high today is 77.
Yeah.
It's not.
See,
good
that's
for
my
me.
thing. Being from San Francisco, if it's above 70, I'm like, hell no. If it's below 60, I'm like, God damn it. I just want that nice 60 to 70,
You and the rest of
call
the
it a
world.
day.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's what SF should be.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Always.
Do I need a sweatshirt? Somewhere in the today I will, so I'll
If
carry
I
it with
want
me.
to.
Yeah.
Well, we usually get the Indian summer in September for like 2 weeks that feels like this.
Racist.
It really is. I gotta be honest with you. But like it feels like
It just sounds like someone like Donald Trump saying, "No, trust me, it's not racist. I'm just going to say this racist stuff, but as long as I tell you it's not racist, it's okay."
But that term's that's not the term you guys.
I know
use.
we're
Yes,
throwing
I've
you
used
around.
Indian
No, it's
summer.
not
Nobody
like you-
says crisscross applesauce summer yet.
They've made a movie called Indian Summer, I think.
So
So, it
everything's
can't be
fine.
racist.
What's crisscross have to do with this?
I don't know.
They'll make you jump. Jump.
Yeah, no, I know that.
We're getting way off track.
Okay.
But remember last time Troy Baker was here, he said his wife was at a thing with kids, and they said to sit down crisscross applesauce, and she didn't know what it meant, and then they sat down, and she went, "Oh, you mean Indian style?" And they're like, "You can't say that anymore."
Oh bullshit. Anyway, people are gonna be sitting Indian style for hundreds of years, and they're still gonna be calling it that, and there's nothing wrong with it. 'Cause it's not offensive.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I'm trying to say is that it feels like that mid-September Indian summer San Francisco thing that we get for 1 or 2 weeks all summer now. And there's a tinge of humidity that is unusual. Where I come from, especially where you come from, in New York, it's fucking horrendous right now, and I would never want to step foot in New York or Long Island ever again between the months of say May and August. But it feels like I'm enjoying the weather less, and I'm finding it's more predictable in that it's more hot than mild, and that's becoming a problem for me too. Because Gary Whitta and I are on the same level. I want it to be winter all year.
Yep.
And I don't want any more than maybe 3 or 4 hours of sunlight max.
The whole
And that's
day
probably I want enough where the crops
can grow enough to give you the tomato that you're going to put on your newfound
Yeah, it's just
salad.
enough to sustain life, but no more.
Yeah, no, we don't want too much life. We don't want too much life.
Yeah.
And we don't want too much light. So I'm looking forward, because that's my favorite thing, especially where we live. We live on the beach, which is San Francisco is, I think, the only place I've ever heard of in my life where living on the beach is the place you don't want to live.
Yeah, you don't.
But we live on the beach, and it's cold, and the fog rolls in, and it's lovely. And it's cool, and you feel good in a sweatshirt, whether it's in April
Brisk.
or whether it's in December.
Yeah.
So the weather is the best part of San Francisco, and it's I don't know if it's global warming or just this particular summer. El Nino is apparently on the way though, so we're gonna get
Isn't
a
it
wet
super
winter.
El Nino
Apparently,
this time?
He's back.
Super El Nino?
It got supersized.
Yes, it's the
supercharged.
sequel to the original El Nino.
Yeah.
apparently we're
Super
gonna
El
have
Nino.
a pretty wet winter.
Good.
Yeah.
We need it.
All right, so what I want to talk about with Gary Whitta
No, that's good enough. Next topic.
is basically you keep living all these different dreams, Gary Whitta. You wrote a Star Wars movie. You wrote a book. You were a video game journalist. You wrote a movie called Book of Eli. that Denzel Washington was in.
Yeah, that
You're
was
doing-
good.
You're doing all these amazing things, right?
I'm here on the Game Over Greggy show.
Another dream achieved for the second time.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is, what is right now? You're this big time writer. You can write your own checks anywhere you want. You can go do whatever. I wrote a Star Wars film. They let you write in. They say, here you go.
You know,
Write-
pretty much any grown-up can write their own checks, right? You know that. They'll give you a checkbook.
Greg doesn't understand how
Nick
checkbooks
won't let
work.
me touch the company checkbook.
Yeah, he's not allowed to do anything with funds for this company ever.
I want to know, what's your next dream project? And I think what I initially jumped to was like, what is your dream superhero project to take on? Which I want to hear. But then for a long time, you had this thing on Twitter, because you're big on the Twitter. Where you
I
were
mean,
try-
I'm not as big as you,
well,
but...
sure not. Few are. I'm pretty sure I'm one of the top 10% on Twitter.
Oh,
That's
yeah, you are.
that's
You are
inaccurate.
definitely in the Twitter elite. I mean, you're not like Lady Gaga.
No, well, that's what I'm. It's like Lady Gaga,
arguable.
Oh,
Obama,
Katy Perry.
Kel, and then it's
Who's Kel?
Like
Keenan and Kel.
Oh, he
Or
has a
show
lot of
guy.
Twitter followers?
No,
Oh.
not at all.
But you are definitely in the upper echelons.
Sure, I'm one of the big deals at Twitter HQ. My
What do you have, like
portrait is hung.
200,000 followers or something?
250,000.
250,000.
Please, come on.
And it's like ticking up all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
I thought we only had 5 members at this table, but I see the 6th has come
You know
in,
what'd be
and it's
really
Greg's
cool?
ego.
Did you
should
not
spend a little
realize
bit
that
of
he was
money on
here
this.
today?
You should get
No.
yourself like an LED sign that looks like a ticker.
Yeah.
And it's got a live count. And it's
I
just
see-
ticking up all the time. as
I
your
see a lot of
followers
people walking around with those
increase.
electronic shirts that like tell
Yeah.
you what like
You should
sound
get
waves
one.
are happening
Just
or
its
what
tr-
kind
number
of
of
weather
Twitter
system's
followers.
moving
Sound
in.
waves are
Yeah, I see when there's a live update on my Twitter. Get Wi-Fi
Yeah.
built into the shirt. What I see you do on Twitter is for a while you got close. It looked like your dreams were coming. You are a man who can tweet something and then it almost becomes a reality. It seems because you tweeted that you were watching Columbo and you loved Columbo and you'd love to work on a Columbo movie, and then things started to happen.
It was a weird thing that happened last year when I was working on Star Wars. I can't even remember how it happened. I happened to be rewatching.
It's a cool statement, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I was
It's a
working
weird
on
thing
Star
last year while I was
Wars.
working on Star Wars.
I happened to be rewatching. Well, here's how it all started. There was Amazon had a great deal, one of those gold box deals
Yeah.
on the Columbo box set. And I remember watching Columbo when I was a kid. We had it in the UK. I remember being a big fan of it, but I hadn't seen it in many years. And it was like a crazy, like 80% off Black Friday kind of deal.
Sure.
And I don't really buy DVDs anymore because, you know, who needs
does
the
that?
stuff cluttering up the house?
Yeah.
I mean, the reality, and in fact, all of Columbo, pretty much, not all of it, almost all of it is on Netflix.
What is Columbo?
All right.
I bet you there's
now-
a lot of people that
remember
don't
Now,
know.
to be fair,
I
Columbo
don't know.
was a series that was probably almost a little bit before my time as well.
But I remember growing up watching because it ran forever.
Yes.
Was
But
it on Nick at Night?
It
Then I
ran in
don't know.
Probably
syndication
was
forever,
on Nick
but
at Night at one
I
point.
don't know
Really?
when the last episode actually ran on network
Was it a
television.
sequel
was
to
probably
MASH?
early 80s. No.
Prequel?
MASH.
Yeah. Did it have anything to do with the monsters?
Everything's either a
It
prequel
had,
or a sequel to
it had
MASH.
nothing to do with the Munsters. Nor
Imagine-
did it, I'll save you right now. It had nothing to do with Magnum PI either.
Damn. All right.
Nothing to do
I'm
with
out.
it.
It was the best detective series there could have been.
Oh, okay.
He had a trench coat.
He was a private eye.
He acted like he didn't have it together.
Yeah.
He
And
acted
then
like
he
a
totally
complete
is.
idiot.
It's the
actually.
best. I would confidently say it's the best American detective show ever made, and I can say that without fear of contradiction. It is on Netflix. You should watch it. It's an
Okay.
easy find.
I know this information, but I don't want to screw it up, and it's not there. What's the name? Peter who?
Peter Falk.
Peter
the actor?
Falk. Thank you very much. Yeah. By the way, and if you're here, Google. You know Maurice LaMarche, Brain from Pinky and the Brain,
Oh, yeah.
a million other cartoon characters. Does one of the best Peter impressions you'll ever see. You don't even have to watch it.
I'm
We
gonna
should
give
watch it.
you-
See the
I'm
basic.
gonna-
watch to
I'm
get
going to
the
give you
reference,
a
yes.
very, very, very quick Columbo primer.
Okay,
So that
good.
you'll be able to participate in the rest
Here
of
we
this
go.
conversation. And this will be for anyone out there who hasn't seen it too. Again, it's on Netflix. Go see it. The big innovation that they did with Columbo was it wasn't a murder mystery. They actually showed you the murder. They showed you the murderer committing the murder at the beginning of every episode. So it was no mystery to the audience who had committed the murder and why. You saw it all up front. And then Columbo, who was an LAPD homicide detective, played by Peter Falk, would show up, sometimes not until like 15, 20 minutes into the... They were 90-minute... People don't remember this. Columbo wasn't like an hour-long detective series that went on every week. It was a 90-minute...
Really?
Each episode's basically a feature-length film that once you had the commercials, it plays out over the course of like 2 hours on television. So it was on from like 8 to 10 or whatever every Sunday. Not every Sunday, but every few Sundays. They didn't do it weekly. But the first, because they had all that time, the first 15 minutes of the show was just setting up the crime. And like, you would see the guy commit the murder, or the woman, whoever it was, and then you would see all the clever ways in which they had covered their tracks and basically made this murder unsolvable.
The
Or at
perfect
least, like-
crime.
yeah, it was the perfect crime. Like they were and it was always some kind of genius, very clever person who had done the murder, and they had covered their tracks absolutely brilliantly. And then Columbo would show up, and again, you already know the guy's the murderer. So the mystery, the fun of the show is not trying to figure out who the murderer is. It's watching Columbo engage in this battle of wits with the murderer to break him down and find the faults in his story and figure out and eventually nail him. And they would always have this moment at the end of the show called a gotcha, where Columbo would trick the guy.
Scooby-Doo
into,
moment.
Yeah, he would he would reveal how he had done the crime.
One more thing.
Yeah, no,
Remind
that's
me.
what it always was.
So this was, here was the great genius of it, is that it was all, I think it was actually kind of a show about class warfare in a way, and the people that he never busted just like normal. It was always like a rich author or a business magnate or a sports champion or like an orchestral maestro, like always like people from like the higher reaches, like the upper echelons of American society, and they had committed some horrible murder. And Columbo would show up, and he was very illustrative of the working class. Like he was famous for wearing this rumpled old raincoat, which I think now is in the Smithsonian or something. Like this became like an iconic thing. And he would smoke this cheap old, stub end of a cigar, and he always had like a kind of hunched over kind of demeanor. And he was scruffy. He had a glass eye because Peter Falk, the actor, really did have a glass eye. And there was just something very, there was just something very kind of like sad and working class. And like you would look at him and think like, how is this guy going to solve anything? He just doesn't look like a very smart man.
A real promo still from Columbo.
Really?
Let's see the picture. Yeah, so that's Columbo.
Kevin, I'll send it to you.
It sounded so much cooler until I saw him.
But it's still awesome.
Wait until you see him play the part.
Yeah, but that's the part of it I think that's cool, is that he's unassuming.
Yeah.
So he's so unassuming, and it's actually it's a part that he's playing. That the Columbo the detective is basically playing the part of a guy who's not very smart. He's kind of playing intellectual possum with you, and he's allowing the murderer who thinks he or she is so smart to get comfortable enough with him that he'll start to. The little gaps in the story
Drop
will
the
emerge.
stuff.
And so it's this game of cat and mouse, but what you'll always realize by the end of the story is that Columbo is a fucking genius.
Yeah.
He is the smartest motherfucker in the room. He misses nothing. And he pretty much knows who the murderer is like from minute one. And it's just a question of how he's going to prove it. And here's the other great thing about it, and why it's such an interesting historical artifact, is that each week the murderer was played by a really big star like Leonard Nimoy, William Shatner, Johnny Cash, John Cassavetes, Robert Vaughn. All these great stars of the era of like the 70s and 80s would play the murder, like they were the guest star every week. Donald Pleasance. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So it was always like this great like battle, like, just kind of really hamming it up, kind of great acting. But the mysteries were again, the first 20 minutes were like, good luck solving this motherfucker, because this guy's covered all of his tracks.
Columbo's met his match.
Yeah.
But then he would come in and just break it down, and by the end had got the guy like just stone cold, like red-handed for murder.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant to watch. Not every single episode is gold, but most of them are really good. And there are some. I'll do you a top 10 list if you just want to
I'm
watch
a
some.
big fan of
There we
lists.
go.
I'll do
Yeah.
you a top 10
Do
list
that on
of
the
like
forums.
stone cold classics.
Yeah.
Where you think he's committed the perfect crime, and Columbo just takes it apart. And that was the genius of it. Like, he presented himself as someone who wasn't very smart, who would allow you to feel comfortable around him. He's like, this guy, this is who they've sent to investigate me. I'm one of the smartest men in the world. This guy's not going to get me. And by the end, Columbo has fucking got him like sobbing.
Yeah.
Because he's got him every which way, like stone cold proof. And it's genius. And Peter Falk is a genius in it. He played the role for many, many years. Became one of the truly great all-time iconic detectives. I'm actually amazed that this is.
He's so young though.
Well, no, so here's the thing. I actually, myself, am very similar to Columbo. I was playing with you. I knew all of this. I just wanted you to explain it so eloquently
For the
to the fans
audience.
and audience out
You're
there.
a proxy for the audience.
Yes, yes.
So you're a Columbo.
He's
I
the
am a
everyman.
Columbo
Okay.
myself.
He's the
That was very.
Yeah.
So you kind of Columboed me
really
then. You reverse Columboed me.
I've reverse Columbo is
You
my
allowed
specialty.
me to think that I was more knowledge-able than you, and now you emerge.
How
at
great
the
would it be
end.
if Tim rolled up
Victorious.
his sleeve and had a Columbo tattoo?
Let me take out my eye, guys.
Wow,
So-
that would be amazing. I
so
never
you
noticed
watched him
that
on
before.
Netflix.
Hold on, I want to make sure that he's not backtracking.
Oh, I'm totally
Oh,
joking. I had no
he's
idea
never
what
heard of
Columbo was.
Columbo.
Absolutely no idea.
No, I don't know which one it is.
No, I did not know.
You did not know.
Definitely
You had him
did.
convinced.
You had him convinced.
Oh, that's really
So
funny.
Columbo's catchphrase, which was very famous, he was just
Gotcha, motherfucker.
Well, he would always say, "Well, thank you very much, Mr. Celebrity Murderer. I think you've answered all my questions. this all looks, we'll obviously clearly we'll be investigating someone else. We know now that you're not the guy. He would lull him into like the force's sense of security, and he would walk towards the door. And what would he do, Greg? He would turn around,
just one more
and he
thing.
would say, "There's just one more thing." And then he would like drop the bomb. He's like, there's one piece of evidence or there's one thing that he said, one flaw he found in his story that just blew it all away.
This sounds
He'd be
awesome.
like, I found this gun in this coffee cup here, sir. And it says your name on it. The guy's like, fuck, I forgot about the gun in the coffee cup.
So as you can see now, Tim's never heard of Columbo. He's got the pitch now. He's in love with Columbo.
Yes.
You were watching Columbo and you realized this could work for a modern day audience.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even I was just enjoying Columbo. I was watching it and I was getting back into it. And I was working my way through the DVDs, and I was kind of just remembering, like, damn, this was a really good show.
Yeah.
And again, because it's like, you look at it now, and it's very much an artifact of the 70s, and people, the fashions and the music and the style of it, just, it's easy to kind of be put off by it. But if you just give it a chance and get into it, the performance of Peter Falk and the cleverness of the cases, I mean, they're just so intricately constructed, the mysteries. They're like Swiss watches, and they always pay off brilliantly at the end. It's such a good show. And, I'm in a business where I'm very much aware of the fact that everything's being recycled and brought back all the time. I was like, why has no one ever tried to do this? And I think part of the reason why is because Peter Falk basically made the character of Columbo so much his own that probably more than any other part, like the famous character in American culture, it's very, very difficult to imagine anyone else ever doing it. It's like, if it's not, Peter Falk died, many years ago, and there's just, if it's not Peter Falk, then you can't do it. Columbo is Peter Falk, and Peter Falk's Columbo. And I think that's the reason why no one's ever really tried to do it, because it would always seem like heresy to try and step into that role and continue what Peter Falk had created. And then I just happened to see a picture of Mark Ruffalo, where Mark Ruffalo already has kind of a passing similarity to Peter Falk. He has kind of the scruffy hair, and there was a particular picture of him that it was some other news story, like Mark Ruffalo was going to come back for the next Avengers movie or whatever. And the picture there, I was like, my God, and I'd been watching Columbo, and it just came together. Like, if anyone could do it, Mark Ruffalo would just kill it. And I kind of got excited about the idea. And again, there are people that I know that I can call and see, like, are the rights available? Like, could we try and do something? And so I started putting some feelers out there, and I tweeted something about it on social media. And I tweeted this picture of Mark that was where he just had this uncanny resemblance to Columbo. I said this would be really cool. And Mark Ruffalo tweeted back, "Oh yeah, I've been wanting to do that for a long time. I would love to play Columbo." And so then it started to get. And so then it started to get... I haven't heard it, but apparently he does an absolutely flawless Columbo impersonation. Again, when you watch it, you'll notice that so much of the part is like Peter Falk has all these great little ticks and little things that he does that just became part of the character. It's a very, not easy, but like if you're going to do an impression, there's a lot there to work with. Like the way that he's just constantly like scratching his head and like always kind of looking confused and befuddled. But in reality, he's like fucking 10 moves ahead of you. You just don't know it. And so I thought this could be the guy. And when he responded, I was like, holy shit, like that's the verified Mark Ruffalo. And he's very active on Twitter because Mark Ruffalo is someone who very, very doesn't usually like promote his movies, but he's really into like water preservation and ecological issues, and he uses his Twitter account for those issues. But then
He was just at VidCon last week with us.
he's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
And he said, oh yeah, I would love to, I've been wanting to do that for a long time, but like I don't know like what the deal is with the rights. And so that then got picked up by, some of the media blog film sites and stuff. The Guardian picked it up, like Huffington Post. It became like a 24-hour story. And then people started calling me, saying like, is this a real thing? And I didn't know. I had like a very brief conversation with Mark about it. He was doing press for whatever movie it was at the time.
Small movie called Avengers 2.
No, it was whatever it was he was doing a year ago. And people started, it was like one of his smaller films maybe, but people started cornering him like on the red carpet saying, what's this about you playing Columbo? And he's like, oh yeah, it's one of those social media things that blah, blah, I would love to do it, but I have no idea if it's a real thing. And there was one point we had t-shirts made, people started sending like dummy mock-up posters of like Mark Ruffalo in the Columbo raincoat, and it just felt so right, like this could be a thing. We had an initial conversation with NBC and they basically shut it down and said, we just don't want to do it. Like, they're doing Kojak with Vin Diesel.
They're doing Kojak with Vin Diesel?
They are doing Kojak with Vin Diesel.
Wow.
They're doing some other stuff. They're like, whatever our
Real quick.
Was Kojak Telly Savalas?
Tim's nodding at the camera. You have no idea what this show is.
Kojak?
Yeah.
I don't care what Kojak is.
It's Vin Diesel, and you're gonna see it.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what that
That's all
nod
that
meant.
matters.
Kojak's another detective series from the
Yeah,
same
I
era as
know.
well.
I knew
Wasn't as
that.
good.
I knew that
Wasn't as
from
good.
VH1's hit series. I love the
What was
70s.
it?
Who Loves You, Baby?
Yeah. That was
Yeah, Lollipop.
Yeah,
Was
I
it
do
Telly?
remember
Not
that.
Telly Savalas.
Telly
Was it
Savalas.
Telly
It was
Savalas?
Telly
Okay.
Savalas.
Telly Savalas. They already brought it back once with Ving Rhames. There was a TV reboot of Columbo
did,
with Ving
that's
Rhames.
right.
But now they're doing it, they want to
Kojak.
do it as a movie with Vin Diesel. And I guess their thought was, well, we're already bringing back one 70s cop show with a current
Yeah.
star. Like, let's not do too many of these. But so it kind of lay fallow for a while because I had plenty of other things to be doing. And it just turned into like, it was a fun story for a week. And then it kind of went away.
I want to reignite it right here.
Yeah.
Well, I want this.
Let's
movie.
get a detective cinematic universe going on. So then Kojak and Columbo.
crossover.
But technically, was Kojak in LA
the
also?
DCU.
Yeah.
I
That'd be
like
good.
it. The Detective Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. All right, everybody, we're putting a tweet on the screen right now. This is what you tweet at Mark Ruffalo, and we'll make sure it happens.
Kevin, write it down so that it happens.
Kevin's on it. I see him writing. He's on it.
I don't know what Kevin's doing. He's look at him.
There was
He's
actually a
standing when he
hashtag.
should
There
be
was
sitting.
actually a hashtag for well, I think it was like Ruffalumbo or something, where like it became
Ruffalumbo.
Ruffalumbo.
That is
became-
good, too.
God, man. If I wasn't already sold.
I love because he paid attention because I remember the interview that he did. They said, "What's this about you playing Columbo?" He went, "Oh yeah, Ruffalumbo. I'm really into that." Like he totally just owned it
That's
and
lit.
thought it was hilarious. But again, behind the scenes, my understanding is he would actually do it if it was the right way to do it.
Sure,
Like, he's
sure,
into
sure.
it.
Now let me ask you this: what would your take on it be? Would you try to set it as a period thing, or would it be modern day?
There's
Set
been
in the far-flung future.
it's too early to say. The initial thought was to bring it up to date.
Yeah.
Then there's another angle that I've heard that I think is very interesting, which is to set it in the original continuity of Columbo. Like you would put it back in like the late 70s and just do it as a period piece.
Yeah, I
There's
like
there's many different ways you can. Do you like that idea?
I like that idea a lot.
There's many different ways you can do it. But part of what maybe got it going again is Josh Trank, who directed Fantastic Four, which is coming out in a couple of weeks, and briefly was associated with the Star Wars films. I became friendly with him, and he is like the biggest Columbo fan on the planet. So what happened was, after I started talking about Columbo online, he sent me this massive long email saying, I was going to send you this email about how you should never bring back Columbo because I'm a huge fan of it. And like Peter, I used to be one of those guys like Peter Falk is the only Columbo, and he died, Columbo died, and it would be sacrilege to ever put anyone else in that role. But then I was thinking, man, Ruffalo, like that's the guy that could actually do it, and he got excited about it. So there is actually a renewed effort at the moment. There's me and Josh and a couple of other people who are kind of in the wings on it, who are trying to figure out if there is actually a way to do it.
I mean, that's a
There
pretty
has to be.
strong development group right there.
The way that we would want to do it is like as a limited event series. Like you'd put it on like Netflix or
Yeah.
HBO or whatever. You wouldn't do like 22 because again, the original Columbo was never that. It was they did like 7 or 8 a year, and they were like little mini TV movies.
Kind of like the way
So would you do,
Sherlock's
like,
done now.
Sherlock?
So
Yeah.
Sherlock is the current. We've used that analogy as well. Sherlock's kind of the current. They only do 3 a season,
Yeah.
but they're like these event things.
Yeah.
And my part of the argument is, I guarantee you, if you did this today, in just in the same way that you had like William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and Johnny Cash and these big stars back in the day who were the murderers, you would get, I bet you, like the A-list stars of today
Oh,
would
yeah.
be fucking lining up to be busted by Columbo because that's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And as these Columbo murderers, like watch like the William Shatner. You think William Shatner like goes over the top? Wait until you see him play a murderer on Columbo. Like they just chew up the scenery. And it's just delicious to watch. Watch the Johnny Cash episode. I mean, they just got everyone. And I think like today you would get like fucking George Clooney and like the big stars of today would like come in, and it's just a huge amount of fun to do it. And Mark clearly is the guy to do it. Josh wants to do it. I want to do it. There are a couple of people that want to do it. Mark, I know in principle wants to do it, but is like super booked up. And I think also would like, I think his attitude would be like, 'cause we haven't had a real conversation with him yet, but like he'd be like, yeah, I'm open to it, but like I got to hear like what the actual idea is. Like I'm just gonna.
We're gonna send him
Show
this
up.
video. He'll see this video. He'll know.
So
the
we
idea.
have all these ideas. We're super excited about it. It's one of those things that like we're constantly kind of just whenever we have like a free moment, we'll try and push it. But it's not like an active development. But yeah, that would be a dream project
It's
to
such a
bring back Columbo.
It's such a fun idea, though. I was just listening to an interview about Wet Hot American Summer. Are you familiar with that
Oh, yeah.
film?
Yeah.
Now they're doing the Netflix series, and they got every
Comes out
single.
like tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the same day this posts on Patreon.
Yeah, yeah, they got everyone to come back for it, including some stars, just because it's such a fun, silly idea that I think people are open to it.
And one of the things that I discovered is, like, not again, I think that you would get like these big stars who want to do it because these are all the guys that now who grew up with the original Columbo and love Peter Falk and consider it one of the great, one of the great monoliths of kind of American television history. There's no doubt Columbo is one of those great shows, and it has a very storied place in American TV history. But not just that. I mean, even among people of our generation, people of the older generation, there's a tremendous undercurrent of affection out there for it. Like once we surfaced this idea and Mark responded to it and it got like a little bit of play in the media, people were just coming out of the woodwork going, oh my God, fucking Columbo, I love that show. It'd be so cool if you brought it back. So I feel like the audience is there for it. But oftentimes with the difficulty is often when, at some point there is somewhere in Universal City at NBC, there's a guy who has like the Columbo rights sitting in a drawer, not necessarily literally, but figuratively. This is the guy that says, yes, I give you the keys to Columbo. And that's the guy you have to convince.
Right.
And until you can convince that guy, nothing gets done.
We'll show him this episode. He'll be fun.
Yeah.
Figure out who that guy is, and we'll have all
Mark
of Greg's
Ruffalo, you've watched
amazing
this
Twitter
far now,
followers
tweet it
go
at
after
someone.
it.
Yes, Ruffalumbo. Or it was, I think it was or it's Columbolo or something like that.
We'll look into it. We'll make sure that
Just
the
when you
tweet
think
that we're
it
putting
can't
back
get
up right
better.
now will be perfect for
But
social
I will
media.
send you, and if you want to put it on the site, for anyone out there who may also be interested in discovering a great show, which they missed just because it was from a different era, like I said, it is all on Netflix. You know who directed the pilot episode of Columbo? Steven Spielberg.
No way.
No shit.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like people might relate that are younger, because Columbo was like a thing that I was born in '84, so it was over by the time I was born, but it was in syndication. It was like
You
on
remember
TV land,
watching it, right? Me
Yeah,
too.
of course you remember that iconic character. But I feel like Monk was supposed to be a kind of
Monk in some ways was the spiritual successor.
Like, because I am a fucking huge fan of that show. I think Monk is fucking brilliant. And it really is, like, in talking about it and thinking about it, because I had not really thought about Columbo in a long time, where it's like, yeah, the quirky, like, in Monk is OCD and fucking, he's a nut job, right? And, like, everyone knows he's really smart, but no one trusts him, and he's just a crazy dude, and he solves the crime. And they show it in the beginning of the episode, although they don't show who did it.
Right.
And they proceduralized Columbo with that, I think. In some respect, 20% there, not 100% there.
Sure.
But it just reminded me of that. So if people relate to that show, because I know there's a lot of younger people that do like Monk a lot, and Psych.
I know
two
Monk.
shows. Then maybe this is something that would appeal to them as well. So you would even get that younger generation if you, because everyone loves detective and legal shit, like whether it's a Good Wife or whether it's whatever it is.
Boston Public.
And
Boston Legal.
going back to the idea, kind of
Boston Public, great show
the
too.
class struggle idea. Part of the reason why I think it's a show that's relevant, as relevant, if not more so today than it was then, is it really played into this idea of like Columbo was like kind of the working class kind of schlub, who drove a piece of shit car. Like there's an episode where he has to go into like a church where they run a soup kitchen to get to interview someone, and the nuns like sit him down and want to feed him because they think he's a homeless guy that's coming off the street, because that's what he looks like. Yeah, like he's just so kind of shambolic. And again, but that's part of his act, right? He's lulling you into a false sense of security. And every week you had the saddest, because the kind of people that he got assigned to every week, it was like some millionaire banker or like a movie studio executive or like a famous author or an actor or a musician. Like Johnny Cash basically played himself in that episode, or like Leonard Nimoy played like a top heart surgeon who killed someone. And so when they get him at the end, it's not just the satisfaction of getting the guy, but it almost felt like the little guy. Like the guy who's one of us, the schlub, bringing down the guy who thought that he was too smart for the law to touch him. And so there's that great sense of triumph at the end when he brings him down.
I gotta think that if because you know how Netflix, you turn on Netflix and you maybe you haven't heard of something, but you see the promo image for whatever the new series is. I gotta think that if I were to see Columbo with Mark Ruffalo's image on it, just that word and that face, I would absolutely add that to my queue and watch every episode of it.
Ruffalo's one of those guys I will watch it, like the random stuff he's in. Like I don't remember
My
the
wife
title.
went and saw Begin Again, which is that movie. I think
He's a terrific actor.
me.
But it's one of I don't remember beginning again, but there was one Amazon. I watched a lot of movies on Amazon, buy and rent them there or whatever. And there was one that popped up where he's like a sex addict that I'd never heard of. And I was like, all right, download. I was like, this is great.
I
He's
thought
so
that was
good.
Begin Again, but I could be wrong.
Was it?
I could be wrong.
Okay.
No, he's really, really good. I think of all the Avengers guys, he's my favorite. Like, he's just a great.
Well, he's a great actor.
A great Bruce Banner. And again, if you go back and watch like some of the smaller indie films that he's in, he's terrific.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's a Columbo fan, and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm reliably informed by people that know him that like he can do do Columbo, and he does it. It's just stunningly like uncanny how good he is at it. So that's something we want to do, but we'll see. It's very, very difficult when you're dealing with pre-existing rights But that's I guess if I have a dream project, that would be it.
I'm offering free services for you here. That we'll get Mark Ruffalo, and then you can write the trailer, and we'll film the trailer and put it up on our YouTube channel.
You're going to get Mark Ruffalo to show up to film a trailer.
Yeah.
At this house.
You got to bring more of your British snacks.
Yeah, that's how we get anyone. We keep them left over from last time you were
Well,
here.
again, like I said, the last time that this was a thing, like a year ago, like if you type in Mark Ruffalo Columbo, I guarantee you'll see a ton of media on it because it was a thing for like 48 hours. And again, who knows? We may yet reinvigorate it here.
We're stoking the fires.
Mark Ruffalo's watched this entire video. He's watching right now. He went to VidCon. He understands YouTube. We were at VidCon. He's gonna come. He's like, okay, yeah, some British snacks. I'll come out there and do it with you guys.
Yeah, we'll bribe him with hobnobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, Mark, if you haven't had a hobnob,
Oh, I was gonna because you liked you know how I brought you those hobnobs?
Yeah.
Those chocolate hobnobs?
Yeah.
I bought some more to bring you
And you
today.
ate them all before you could.
And I ate them.
I respect that. I respect that.
I like how you saw it coming.
I totally would do the same thing. You put them aside,
they're
all
just
pretty,
so-
and you're like, oh, I'm hungry.
But you know the thing is, they give you the way it is. They give you the kind of the resealable plastic lid,
Yeah.
which is coming. Who are we kidding?
No, it's
You know,
coming off. It's
the
fake.
idea
thing,
is that
throw
I'll
it
just-
away.
I was sitting around. I was watching some shite on TV, and I had my hobnobs, and I was like, I'll just have a couple. Like Greg's not going to mind if there's a couple missing. He'll
Yeah.
understand. Next thing you know,
no hobnobs.
empty
Yeah.
tube, crumbs all down me, just pure shame.
People keep asking for the return of Oreo Ration because there's all these new flavors out.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
problem is that new flavors come and we just eat them
Oh,
before
no.
we can film
You
them.
have no idea how dangerous that was. You left the Oreos in my car.
Yeah, I know.
You were like, Nick, just bring them up tomorrow. And I mentioned that to my wife. I was like, we got these Oreo Thins, and I think they're mint. And she was like, go get them right now.
Oh, so I wanted to
Go
ask you
get
about
them
what
right
your
now.
stance
We
is
haven't
on
had
Oreo.
the- we haven't had the
on
Thins
Oreo.
yet.
But just on principle.
Yeah.
On principle, I don't mind it.
Really? I thought you'd be like really against it.
But I mean, you understand that like Oreo has been like genetically modifying their cookies for years now. I had Mega Stuff. I had the soft cookie ones that were the Cakesters. Don't get the Cakesters.
But Oreo,
I don't think they're
the
doing that on a
evolution of
gene
Oreo
level.
has always been about you go from double stuff to mega stuff.
Yeah.
And then didn't they have like a club
They
sandwich
had the
one, like a triple decker?
Yeah, the triple
You know,
decker.
so it's always been about like going this way. Like now it feels like they're de-evolving
Sure.
as they get thinner.
But have you ever had a cookie crisp? One of these cookie chips, not the cereal. Sorry, the cookie chips. Have you had cookie chips? They
mean, I
sell
guess-
them in your grocery. They're way overpriced,
like-
and they're fucking crack
The
cocaine.
thing is, the original Oreos aren't going anywhere, right? If
No.
they'd have
Oh, God, no,
if they'd
no,
have said
no,
like
no.
this is the new Oreo,
Then I would have
then
flipped the
there'd
table
be
and
fucking
stabbed
riots
Nick.
in the streets.
Yeah.
Why
yeah.
you stab me? Why would you stab
There
me?
needs
I'd be
to
on
be
your side, brother.
there needs to be a cadence set for what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna murder people. So you're right here. The table gets flipped. You get stabbed.
All right,
By
well,
the time no one can
it's
react,
nice
I'm
knowing
out the
everyone.
door, and
Okay.
I'm running to
You're not that
Nabisco
fast.
HQ.
I'm sorry if you're watching this, Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo is our.
So you can-
Mark Ruffalo, we want to flip the table and stab you. Now just
Why
come
not-
here
so
and eat our cookies.
Why not get ahead of yourself a little bit? And when you go to get the new Oreos,
Yeah.
get a packet that's for the oration, then get another one that you can just eat. ahead
Because
of time.
that doesn't solve the problem.
The
You
o-
know that as well as we do.
The
We're
old
going to eat
days,
both.
remember the
Both
the
gone.
original idea was it was my first time ever eating them. And then Goldfarb was here one day staying at our house and he wanted to try the s'mores and then that opened up the cotton candy and the next thing I know we wake up naked with no Oreos. We didn't know what was happening. There were
Jesus.
crumbs
So
everywhere.
is-
Portillo's
What
just
happened to
licking
your clothes?
things.
Do you eat your clothes?
I
too,
don't
or-
know.
So is Oreo oration done now?
Oh, no,
because
it'll
of
be
this?
back.
Okay.
We have a whole bunch
So
we
you
have to
haven't
do.
done one in a while.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
many flavors have you missed?
Oh,
Because they seem
there's
like
a
they come out
lot.
with new ones quite
Yeah,
regularly now.
yeah, they do. Yeah. Well, I think in terms of the big ones, we're like 2 behind.
Every now, it's gotten just on principle. It's got very hit and miss for me. For every new one they bring out, I go, ooh, there's another one. I'm going like, really? That sounds
yeah.
disgusting. Like
Yeah.
watermelon.
Fruit Punch was a really
They do
bad
it for the headlines. They do it to like
Yeah.
make the watermelon.
but cotton
Oreos.
candy
What
was
the-
a little
why
weird.
The
would
one
they
that I
do
really
that?
wanted to try that I felt I missed out on was like the Ginger Snap one because I think that was like a Walmart exclusive.
Oh, the ginger
We're
bread
getting
one?
to exclusives now?
Yeah, Target's
Really?
Target's been
Oh,
running
yeah.
an exclusive game for a long time.
My God.
Yeah.
We're getting off topic though.
We start getting like pre-order bonuses
like
and
video-
stuff.
it's like
I'm gonna be
video
upset.
games now,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's insane.
Everybody do the tweet. Get Columbo rights and get Marco Ruffalo in it. Give it to Gary Whitta.
So you'll figure out what this is.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
have crafted
Some
it. If you're
later
listening
date.
to the MP3, we will put it in the publishing description.
Kevin,
so
Mark
you can go there
Ruffalo's
too.
Twitter name is just Mark Ruffalo.
I'll
so
solve
it's-
that by the time we
you'll
get
figure-
there.
you'll
Yeah,
figure it
by
out.
then I would have
Yeah.
known. Yeah,
Okay.
don't
Look
worry
up
about
Mark Ruffalo and find out what his Twitter name is.
that. We know we don't.
Kevin. And then call NBC and find out who has the rights to Columbo and tell him to open that drawer up and give it to Gary Whitta. Okay, Kev? All right, thanks. Kevin says he has no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Tim.
As always.
Yes.
What's your topic?
All right. So we just spent the last, I don't know, million years at VidCon.
Yeah.
And this is our fifth VidCon?
Something like
One
that.
of the two. And we've seen it kind of evolve from being a really weird thing to a much bigger, really weird thing.
Sure.
Now, VidCon's always been interesting to me because there's two extreme sides
And
to
explain what VidCon is, yeah.
it. All right, VidCon is essentially the E3 for YouTube stuff. YouTube stars, YouTube making its own announcements of like new stuff for its platform and all that. But you said something really interesting to me, that it's not so much the E3, it's more the GDC of the YouTube world.
Right. It's a game,
So-
which is the Game Developers Conference. And the idea is that people who make content out on their own in these different groups come together to share knowledge and be like, hey, they give panels at VidCon saying like, here's how a better way to monetize. Here's how to use Facebook better. Here are the success strategies we've found.
Right,
However,
so they have like panels and seminars.
exactly.
And
So there's
sessions
this
and stuff.
business side of it, but then there is this fan-driven show floor. Buy a community pass. Come get an autograph from iJustine.
Yeah,
Come
because
see
the
the guys
stuff
from
that I
Epic Meal
saw
Time.
looked almost more like Comic-Con or something. It was
Right.
like,
Well, so that's the thing. It's a really unique event in the sense that there's like multiple levels to it, and depending on which pass you can get onto different levels. And they really do have it set up where the bottom floor is community, and it is just I'm going there to scream and fanboy or fangirl out about these little British singer boys. Then the second level is more like here's for the people that are actually making their own content to learn about something. And then the third level is for the much bigger people industry people to learn how to make more money on what they're doing, or to find out what's the next big thing. Like everyone's talking about Snapchat, which is like at this point like a year old and all the kids are using it. But it's like, here's how you should use it for your stuff, or Periscope, or God knows whatever else they're pushing out. But it's interesting because there's this really wide gamut of different types of people there for different reasons. Now, we started there with IGN, which was like, we kind of came in at the top level, but we, as kind of funny, were at the bottom. So I feel like over the last couple of years, we've kind of like met in the middle somewhere.
Right.
And weirdly ended up on the top, where me and Nick were giving a industry thing. We were giving a panel.
We were given industry thing.
We were giving an industry panel to creators. So we were telling people like how to integrate brands into their content and stuff, which is just ridiculous that people actually cared. We had a packed room.
We did have really a packed room. That was a fascinating thing. Because when we came in at IGN, we came in thinking, and this was largely me as well as everyone else, but came in kind of assuming that we weren't going to. Well, no,
This was largely me. So
I came in
and everyone else.
I came in assuming, this is not a compliment for myself, that I knew everything. And that what was this VidCon thing going to teach me that I at IGN, being a senior video producer at IGN who had built this giant team and we drove millions of numbers, was going to learn. And it was a very big eye-opening experience because there's a whole other community out there that's not traditional online media. That's not the GameSpots, the IGNs of the world. There are a bunch of individual contributors that have these gigantic audiences that have nothing to do with that and don't want to necessarily be a part of that world. They have their own thing going on. And so that was really eye-opening. So when we went there, first when you talk about evening out, that's how it's sort of been for me, is letting go of all those expectations and that ego of working at a place like IGN and really starting from grassroots and forming our own audience, and then meeting on that level, which I feel like we were for the first time there now, coming there, getting recognized a little bit, but also being seen as creators in that community and not the IGN guys anymore. What's amazing though is there is a very big, like there's a line between those fans and the professionals, and you can see that at the Hilton bar. Which is like there's a bar at the Hilton, which is right by the convention center, and all of the industry goes there if you're over 21 and you have a cocktail and you can meet. But then on the outside of it is everyone that's underage that's just waiting to fanboy out about, like, to see someone and scream real quick.
well,
and
and not just
get
the
their
fans,
audience.
but a lot of the stars are underage, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
these are
very
like 14,
true.
15,
Yeah.
16-year-old kids who have got massive audiences and are actually becoming quite rich doing this.
Yeah.
But even
it's
them
really
though,
crazy.
like they're still in the bar section. Even they might not be getting drinks, but they'll be sitting at the like different tables or just standing around talking to people. Like they know that they're allowed in. It's these
Right.
people. The people on the outside are the ones that are scared to go in because they feel
they
like
want a
it's like-
selfie and an autograph.
they just want a selfie and autograph, and they're scared to like kind of breach that thing because they feel like they're not going to be included. They'll be like spotted immediately as like not part of the crowd.
Right.
Right.
Even though it's totally not true.
I
No one
wouldn't be
knows who
able to-
anyone
yeah,
is.
I wouldn't be able to spot anyone.
But it's weird because it's like a invisible force field around, and the moment that someone leaves the group, it's just screaming and yelling and just people chasing these guys down, and it's like insanity.
Yeah.
So-
it's on one level, I'm like, where are all your parents that are letting
Well, a lot
you
of the parents
be
are there, though.
in this hotel till 1:00 in the morning, screaming and following these YouTube celebrities up to their rooms? Like, because they'll post when we stayed at the Hilton. they would literally post people on floors, and they would text each other like where people were. They'd figure out what your room was, and they'd like follow YouTube people back to their rooms. Not us, because we're all.
That's not creepy.
It's really weird. I mean, we didn't stay there this year just because the rooms
you
had
be
gotten
harassed.
ridiculous.
I read a story about one of these kids, like a YouTube star, who's like, again, like a teenager basically, but he's got this massive following. I can't remember the name of the kid, but he went there incognito because he wanted to look around and like check things out, but didn't want to be mobbed. But somebody spotted him, and it turned into a scene from like A Hard Day's Night. You know, like looking Beatles are like running from these.
That's really what it is.
I mean, I some of the footage that I've seen. I mean, it really is like nothing I've ever seen since like the Beatles came to America. Like teenage girls, tears streaming, like pulling their hair out. Like that level of like obsessive fandom is insane.
It's really weird because, like I said, this is our 4th or 5th VidCon, and we've seen that every year, and we've just seen the mobs get bigger and bigger. I think this year I didn't see it that much.
No,
the running and the crazy screaming and all of that, but I think that's because VidCon is finally kind of
they're getting smarter. In how
they're getting smarter and they're
deal
growing
with
and
this
to learn
talent,
how to understand. So their signing process was a lot better this year. So they actually like scheduled a lot more people, and they had a structure to waiting in line to be able to guarantee that these people can meet the people they're looking forward to meeting. And that's kind of what my topic was, is I'm watching these people wait in line to go say hi and like meet and greet these, you know, YouTube celebrities, or they're not even saying YouTube's not even fair, because it's like there's Vine celebrities and Instagram people and Snapchatters now, and like all this. I don't know if they're called Snapchatters, but whatever
There
they
now.
are.
There you go.
I think they're called snappers.
The snappers, yeah.
They're chatters.
And yes, the chat roulette people. It's crazy to me that there's people that would wait for 4 hours to be able to take a picture with someone and say hi. But then I stopped and think about it, and I was like, did I ever do that for people? And then I was like, I did. Like back in the day, I remember my brother was super into WWE, and like when people would come, like we'd wait. I'd bring him and wait in line for hours to meet these wrestlers, and like that didn't seem ridiculous to me, you know. And now I think about it, I'm like,
Of course.
that's ridiculous.
They were on TV. It was a big deal to see them.
It's obviously a generational thing, and this is where we start to realize that we're basically turning into our dads, where you're looking at what, you know, teenagers are into and going, I don't get it. When I was a kid in the early 80s, I would watch, I don't know if it was everything here, but in the UK we had a show called The Young Ones, which was kind of a narcic comedy show. I think MTV had it here for a while, and it was like very much at the forefront of like very kind of anarchic, gross out, just silly slapstick comedy, and it was a huge hit on BBC television, and it was very, very popular with like kids of my age, like teenagers. And my dad would look at it and go, I don't get it at all. And you realize that you eventually become that person looking at the next thing. Because I've got like nieces and nephews that are kind of in that age group, and you know I look at they don't look at the TV. They're watching YouTube on their iPads. That's their television now, and they show me these characters, these kids that are doing this stuff. What I've noticed as well is if you look at the kind of content that I've been trying to educate myself about this. I did a YouTube show last year with Skybound. So I was trying to figure out like who the audience was and trying to learn like how long the show has to be and who the audience is for this thing.
What was that?
It's called Nerd Court. Huh. You were on it.
Oh, that's right. I was on it. Go watch it.
That was an excellent show.
That was actually one of our better episodes.
Damn right.
I think that was one of that is definitely my top 3 favorite things Greg has done that doesn't have to do with us.
It was good.
Yeah, it was real good.
It was good. People should check out that episode. It was episode 5, Mario versus Sonic.
Yep. Yeah, the Warp Zone.
Nerd Court.
We had
you did the Mario Brothers Super Show dance routine at the end, which is amazing. Yeah. Anyway, you look. I was talking to someone about this and said, so what kind of content is on there? I said, well, like some of the really popular ones are like the teenage girl who like does makeup tips, or like here's dating tips for girls, and like here's fashion stuff, and here's like celebrity gossip. And what I realized is that this is not necessarily the new television, it's the new teen magazines. Remember when kids used to read like Tiger Beat and stuff like that? Those have kind of gone away, and I think that's what the kids now have instead. But with this added dimension of like some level of interactivity where these YouTube stars can do videos going, hey, I like your comments, whatever. You feel like you can kind of. This is why I think it's so virulent, is that sense that like you kind of know them a little bit, and you're like internet friends with these people, because the two-way communication allows that.
Yeah.
Is that people get really, really into it in a way that I think transcends anything we saw in television or any of the old media. So it's not. I mean, do I understand it? No, not at all.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's one of those things also. The reason a lot of us, or myself included, don't necessarily understand or have a full grasp of it is how quickly it moves. And like I said, when we went there 4 years ago, I kind of had in my brain, I had a firm understanding of what a celebrity or a star was versus what someone on the internet was, right? I'm like, no, these people aren't stars. 4 years ago, I would have told you that. They're not stars. No way these aren't stars. But then you start to break it down. You're like, well, what does that mean? Well, all of them have a huge audience. All of them are treated like stars when their fans see them, like they want to elevate them to that status, and they're making a lot of money. So,
Yes, by any definition,
these guys are
Yes.
every bit as successful and should be sort of seen in that light. And I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it when you said the reason that I think they're seeing it a little bit differently is because of that. You're able to have that conversation with them and feel like they are. There is no barrier really between you and them.
there's an added level of intimacy.
Yeah.
Even with a massive audience that you don't get.
Yeah.
With television. And again, like, the crazy thing is these people are earning real money. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got PewDiePie at the top of the, was it like 7.5 million
Yep.
he pulled in last year?
ridiculous.
You've got like the girls I mentioned earlier, there's some of these teenage kids that are doing makeup tips.
Yeah, Michelle Phan's making millions.
She has her own makeup line now.
Yeah.
Like, because of course, what I read about VidCon is another big part of it now is these media executives and these agents that smell blood in the water and they want to go sign these kids up and like they recognize that these are the next big money-making opportunity.
Yeah,
Like-
we saw that a couple years ago. The panels started going from like how to grow your audience and how to like what monetization means to we started seeing panels of like what does representation mean, and it was like so and so from CAA and so from UTA and so from William Morris, and I was like, oh wow, these people are. There's a huge push to use these kids for their influence and B as sort of. I mean, I think they're still trying to figure out, but there's a lot of money to be made there, and when there's money to be made, of course, you're seeing all the guys from Hollywood.
Yeah,
over
all these
there.
deals suddenly, of course, come out. Like, it doesn't matter how you generate the money. If you can, these people will come out of the woodwork.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
mean, HSBC Bank apparently didn't care that all this money was coming from like Mexican drug cartels. It's money.
Right.
We will take
Yeah.
it. And I think to a lesser extent, it's true of people in the entertainment business. They don't necessarily have to understand it in order to package it and monetize it. There's and again, we see this all the time. I mean, there was a British YouTube celebrity. I don't remember her name. But it's like a teenage girl who built a huge following. She now has like a best-selling book in the UK. Zoella.
Yeah.
Ghost written, but nobody cares. It was so well. This is like, and again, you don't. Here's the thing. Part of the reason why there's a rush to monetize this is that nobody really knows how long it's going to last.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That some of these YouTube celebrities could have very short, lifespans. We now live in a world where one of the dominant forms of media is 6 seconds long. So you want to talk about like the contraction of attention spans and how long you might have in the spotlight before the next cool kid
Yeah.
comes along?
But I think that's the thing, though, is like if VidCon's taught us anything, it's that it's not about YouTube. It's about keep continuously adapting and listening to what the new thing is and getting on it before everyone else, understanding it and being creative with it. And a couple of years ago at VidCon, we saw this whole thing Nick's talking about, where it's like representation and all this, and you started to see the beginning of like what happened with all the boy bands and stuff, where it's just this produced thing where people put people together and like made a product out of these
Yeah,
people
right.
and like kind of sold it that way.
Yeah.
You started seeing a bunch of YouTube networks and channels and shows and whatever and personalities that weren't really personalities. It's not like they started doing YouTube channels. It's I'm gonna take this young girl and I'm gonna tell her what to say and she's gonna do this and like grow that way. And what's interesting now is, I mean, there's a ton of those that just exist and they keep going. But this year I saw a bunch of those people that were introduced a couple years ago and they've now been pretty much saying fuck you and just doing their own thing.
Right.
And it's like they got brought up that way, but then they learned quickly. And I think that's the most interesting part of this is even with all these young kids, they're not only are they getting a lot more money a lot earlier and having a lot more weird responsibilities, they're given the opportunity to think and use all of the tools available to them in such unique, weird ways that they can kind of say, we don't need you. We don't need you to make this for me and tell me which boy band song to put out. Like I can
Right.
do an indies thing if I wanted to, but
Yeah.
with that audience, and they're gonna like it.
Yeah, and that's the power of it, right? Is that prior to this, you needed a label or a studio to elevate you as a celebrity, right? And you needed their continual support in order to keep your celebrity. Whereas now, the dangerous thing is if you build up a bunch of people who get massive followings, they don't necessarily need to stay within your organization. They can go out on their own, do their own thing, and still enjoy success and still thrive. And so I think a lot of people are trying to figure out in that ever-changing landscape, like how do we capitalize off people and not drive them out and not let them go because there's a lot of power to the individual contributor these
It's
days.
true that it's different, but it's not that different. In that I think I don't know if we've really seen this yet, but I suspect that we will. Is that you always hear about like the case of like the tragic child star. I think there's a whole new generation of that waiting to happen with like 14, 15, 16-year-old boys and girls who just started doing YouTube. And a lot of these kids didn't get in this to become famous. They just did it because it was a hobby.
Right.
Next thing you know, CAA's calling. You've got 100,000 subscribers and there's real money coming in. And there's book deals. You go to VidCon. You've got girls chasing you down. Like you can't keep it real and adjust to that. It's a very difficult thing to keep straight in your head. And suddenly this overnight celebrity, and like, how does that not go bad? And we've seen it ever since the golden age of Hollywood. Child stars that kind of went off the rails because they just weren't properly prepared or properly protected by those around them. And I wonder if there is a new generation.
Well, I think
of that
there
on its
already is
way.
a new generation that we've seen in the last couple of years, and that's the viral hit. Like people that just make one video, they get millions of views and they get millions of fans and stuff for that one video, and then nothing after that.
Right.
And they can't follow up and they don't have consistent content, or they then put out content and no one cares about it. And everyone's like, oh, just do that again. And I'm not going to say any names, but you see these people at VidCon, and it's kind of like, oh man, like you just kind of feel bad for them. You're just like, oh, you were.
Justine.
That's different than what Gary's talking about. What Gary's talking about is like the two Corys in the 80s, right? Corey Haim.
Yeah,
Corey
I'm talking
Feldman,
about like all the
where
money and fame and stuff going to your head, and you basically becoming a dick.
You're 17 years old and you're going into
That's
rehab.
what I'm saying. I feel like this is the new version of that because they made a shit ton of money off of one video.
Sure.
And they think that they're untouchable for that. But it's like, no, your life changed for that one time, but that money runs out, and then you can't do another hit video because that's not how the virility of that video worked.
Sure.
That's why I like what we do at Kind of Funny, because the expectations are real low.
Real low.
Yeah.
But
From the title on.
And I like how you sustain that week in, week out.
Yeah, we can't possibly
Can't get
set the
better.
expectations any lower.
If we're ever like, oh man, things are going really well, Kevin, do something, change something. Then we're off the air, there's no sound, like perfect.
But that's what I love about this business coming as a very outsider kind of person, because I will always consider myself a writer first, and I've only been to one VidCon, which was last year's, which was super eye opening for me. That's really the embryonic state of what Kind of Funny ended up becoming, was that 3 days or 4 days we spent in Anaheim for sure. And it was eye-opening, but it always informs me what I don't know. And that's what I always say, which is that what you don't know is one thing, what you don't know is the other thing. And so, like, I know I don't understand the math behind physics, but I don't know that I need to know this other thing that is really essential to the business. And that's what I really learned at VidCon. In other words, people walk through life thinking that they don't know the things that already exist, and yet I feel like I'm learning something every day about things I didn't even know I had to know, or that were even things that you could know. And so what I'm so fascinated about with our business is that, we kid around, the expectations are low. They're really not. I mean, the expectations are high, actually, because we are largely crowdfunded and all those kinds of things. But that's what I like about it, is that I feel like we're growing slowly and steadily. And like I always say, I'm really concerned about Kind of Funny, or not concerned, but think about Kind of Funny in 5 or 10 years, about what it looks like, and that hopefully we have the wisdom to understand that we have to adapt and have to change, that it's one day not going to be about us if we want this to be a company that is going to exist for a long time. And that, I like being in this world where I don't know much, like, and I'm learning something about it every day. I think it's kind of fun. It's different, than being a writer, or being, doing another thing where I understand that world a lot better than I understand the ever-changing YouTube world, where maybe I'm at 30 years old. I'm considered somewhat old for this world.
Yeah, but see, I'm kind of 50-50 on that, because you mentioned that every once in a while, but at the same time, I think part of the reason why people enjoy watching us is because they like watching us progress through life and try new things and fail, let's be honest, most of the time. But then when we do enjoy the 1 or 2 successes, they like, sharing those with us. And so our
upcoming Mark Ruffalo Columbo trailer.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Starring Mark Ruffalo.
Kevin put the tweet up.
There you go, Kev. So I don't know. I mean, I'm 50-50 on that too, because I think that this needs to always necessarily. I mean, I want this to be a part of my life and my career forever. Like, this is our business, obviously, but I feel like being able to share it with an ever-growing audience of people who just find it fascinating watching us go through life, I think is a very, very powerful thing. And I don't think that's going to go away necessarily. It might change in how people engage, but I think the idea that people can go out there and find their audience is a very, very powerful thing that's going to be with us for a very long time.
Yeah, but my whole thing with that is, I don't know much about Rooster Teeth, but my image of Rooster Teeth in my mind is something that began and is very different with very different people now.
But
And the core is
the
still,
difference there is the OG guys are still adapting. Like you still see Bernie periscoping every day.
Sure,
you know?
but what I'm saying is that it's not necessarily about Bernie anymore, right? Now it's about all of these other people. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, I'll always be. I mean, we all own a piece of this company. We'll always be around and with it. But
You hear that,
I
Greg?
want to have.
You're never getting rid of me.
But I want to have
The cigarettes will do that for me.
the
Stab me all you
wisdom to
want.
say, like, in 10 years, if they're like, you know what, this other guy that you hired, we much rather hear him talk about games, and I'll be like, oh, you don't want. So that's what's best for you as the viewer is for me not to speak anymore. And you want to hear this younger guy, To me, I'm like, I can accept that, that's I think the evolution of the longevity of this business as an entity and not us as individuals. We have to have that wisdom, and I think it's important.
I respect that you can accept that, but let's be perfectly honest. Greg's ego is going to kill that guy a lot. Just right off the bat. There's no
true.
way Greg's ego is letting anyone else come into this group that'll talk about games or Oreos.
That's true.
It's true.
But yeah, to me, that's what I'm excited about is the unknown. Like, I want Kind of Funny to exist. I want Kind of Funny to exist in perpetuity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so for it to exist forever, I'm excited to think how big are we or how small are we or whatever. What is our power and prestige or lack thereof in 10 years, 20 years? What does the company look like? How many people does it employ? Are any of us on camera anymore? Is Nick too busy doing production? Is Greg now really the CEO of the company? Is Tim kind of doing strategy? And we have
I'm going to be watching Columbo.
Now we're watching Columbo. We have a whole new crew of people. I think that's
Wait,
super.
are you watching the old Columbo or the new Columbo we helped
new
get
Columbo.
started?
Don't
Off
jinx
the
it.
ground?
Both.
You're jinxing it.
It's too late.
doesn't
It's already
like-
on. Put the tweet up, Kevin.
So I think it's the unknowns about the world that to Gary's point, like I exist in this world. I'm still quite ignorant of it. I learn something new about it every day. We just learned. I just learned from you guys kind of bringing notes back to me that we've been using Facebook totally wrong and stuff like that. And that was really eye-opening to me. It's like, and again, it's like you don't know until you know, I guess. But like that's what I'm excited about with this world and being in this world is that it's about the adaptation. It's not about, there's nothing certain.
Yeah.
Everything's unexpected.
Yeah.
And I think it keeps us on our toes and it keeps us honest and it keeps us humble. And that's the thing that I want when I say that the most about having that wisdom to change and adapt and make it not about you one day is it's humility, to understand that like we are going to identify someone one day, hopefully, if we want to be in this space for more than a decade, if that is going to do this better than we do it. And we should elevate that person. Even if it comes at the sake of me being on camera or Greg being on camera, because that's what's good for the health of the business and that's what's good for the viewer. And that's like what's most important.
And part of what I think is exciting about it for you guys is it's kind of similar to watching video games evolve. It's video games is also a relatively new medium if you think about it, like in the kind of geological time frame of everything. It's if you go into a much more traditional form of media like film or television, it's very, very difficult to innovate. To come into there and do something new because those businesses are built on generation upon generation upon generation of people who have established the rules and will tell you right away, this is how it's done, this is how it's not done, this is what you can and can't do. But this world, people are still figuring out where the boundaries are and what is possible and what you can and can't do. And I think that's really interesting because you've got a lot more freedom to try crazy shit. And again, because there aren't any gatekeepers, because there's just you and your, internet connection to, the YouTube upload server and, enough people out there to keep funding you, fuck everybody else. I think that's part of the fun of it.
Yeah, I mean it is, but it is also challenging, right? And to Colin's point, like you do, whereas I feel like the sort of path to success in the traditional media world is a little bit like there's gatekeepers, but once you kind of break through that, you can understand how the system works. This is an ever-moving, ever-changing target for us. There's, like Colin, you're talking about Facebook. What you just mentioned might be different a year from now or 6 months from now, right? So our success, it behooves us to kind of, that's why I like VidCon, is it's our opportunity to kind of sit for 4 days, check in, and think about these strategies and think about, are we, what was right 6 months ago, is that still right for our business and strategy-wise now? You should go to VidCon. You should check it out.
I do find it fascinating, just purely from like an anthropological, perspective. To be there, like, and it's just amazing. Like, again, the fact that this world exists, it's there, it's massive, but because I'm not the audience for it. Like, again, that whole world really took me by surprise when I realized only through like my younger relatives that this was a huge thing, and I slowly became aware of it. I would be the staying power thing that you mentioned is really interesting. I'd be really fascinated to see, like, if you look at the last 5 years of VidCon and maybe like the next few years, to look at what's the degree of turnover between of who's considered like the big attractions there that year. Like, are there people there that have been established stars for like the last 2-3 years, or is it like there's a new flavor of the month
Oh
every
my god,
every
it's
VidCon?
insane. It's insane that every year you go, and I'm like, and I'm the YouTube guy of the group where I'm like, I love YouTube, I'm all about this. At this point, all the biggest names I'm seeing, I'm like, I do not know who that is.
Right.
And you just can't keep up with it. But that's the thing, though. It's like that's like trying to keep up with all of TV or all of the movies. Like you can't do that. YouTube, it's not just one thing. It's not just the beauty people. It's beauty people, VFX people, comedy people,
Food people.
Like there's just so many different like genres of YouTube video and of Snapchat and of Instagram and of all the different things that there is the people that have been at the top for years, but they're not necessarily the top. There's all like they're not the headliners of VidCon anymore.
Right.
There's like every year it's a different set of headliners, I'd say.
Yeah, it's weird though. It would be interesting. It'll be fascinating watching like Harley, right? Who is one of the bigger names that we know that we actually know. Like you hang out with him, you guys are friends. Watching his presence at the show versus some of these kids that came up so fast, right? Where like a lot of some of these kids came up with like you check in on their channel a year from now, and right now it's at 20,000, and a year from now it could be 1 million. You're like, how the hell did they do that? But they just have that thing that the teenage kids love and find interesting.
Rock and roll.
But I'm wondering, it will be fascinating to watch those guys and see if they continue to do it or do what Gary's talking about, where they make a step this way and try to go, either to traditional TV and kind of burn out fast, versus guys like Harley who have kind of done TV but he smartly continues to build his audience online and his presence online. That's fascinating.
Well, that's his bread and butter, right? And I think that's what's so exciting about it, because I look at the old structure, like even pre-cable structure of NBC and CBS, even before Fox. It was very they were gatekeepers, and it was very vertical, right? And the vertical, I think, even grew when cable came out, and now there, instead of 3 or 4 channels, there were 20 or 25 viable channels. And now what's exciting to me about YouTube, and what I think is it's so fucking profoundly small d democratic, is that it's tumbled the vertical. The tower doesn't exist anymore. It's made it horizontal and stretched it out completely. And so now like and it's like a fucking bizarre jigsaw puzzle with very small pieces, that somehow interlock with each other in a way that makes perfect sense. Where we have a relatively small audience compared to a lot of people on YouTube, but we've carved out our niche and can make a living doing it, like Gary was saying, which I think is so exciting. That we're doing what would have been impossible without the platform and without broadband internet, I guess. So that's what's so exciting to me about it, is like I like being in this space because it's fun to be on camera and do all these kinds of things, but I like learning about it, and I want to learn enough about the business where I can help run the business one day when we have employees, when we have responsibilities, and maybe people that are making content that is better than our content that we really want to shepherd. And the other thing that I'm always so excited about and interested about is when people bring up names or things people are doing on YouTube not being much of, I exist pretty much only in the YouTube space, maybe in politics somewhat, like so that political kind of slice or whatever. And I hear names about, you hear this guy, I'm like, I have no, and it's not disrespectful, I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And then I look and I'm like, they have 500,000 Twitter followers and a few million YouTuber. I feel like I find that almost every day.
Yeah.
And that to me shows a profound, again, small d democratic kind of like, it's the free market. YouTube is like the free market just working, but it doesn't mean that the big guys only win at the behest of the small guys failing. It means that everyone can kind of coexist, and I think that's fucking rad.
Right. I know we've gone along with it on the subject. But yeah, I mean, that is something that you have to wrap your head around, which is that there is no like winning necessarily, and there is no necessarily end game, right? It's just grow your audience and just continue to thrive.
Bring them along for the ride.
But I think that's kind of part of the thing that I have trouble wrapping my head around is I'm like, okay, if we hit this certain point, is that when we get to do like mainstream stuff, or do we even worry about mainstream
We don't
media?
worry about
anymore?
mainstream.
You know what I mean?
This is
That's-
mainstream
but
now,
that's
I think.
hard for me. That's hard for me to wrap my head around.
you're
Is that
old.
like, well, I am old, and to me, success is make a movie, or to me, success is make a television show.
You're a success right now, Nick. You don't even know it. Look at him, everybody.
Well, I mean, listen to
Doesn't
the way,
even know it.
Listen to the way Gary talked about the possible Columbo reboot, which is like he talked about Netflix, about bringing it
Yeah.
to somewhere, or HBO, like something premium.
Right.
I don't feel like, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of writers would love to have their things on traditional TV, but that's not where things are going, and that's, to me, that's a like deep, for instance, having 5 million followers on, or subscribers on YouTube and making some money there, and then deviating into like Hollywood is a fucking huge risk.
Traditional TV is becoming less and less relevant, and I think the idea of becoming a big enough star on YouTube that you can quote unquote graduate to television is really outdated thinking. Like, I don't think you're graduating at all anymore. That's, if anything, a sideways move. And in terms of the audience that you might be trying to reach, by moving to television, there's no guarantee that your teenage audience would even follow you. Like I said, kids don't really watch TV anymore.
Right.
their attention spans are too short. They want to be able to just dial up. Again, just the idea of channel surfing seems so. I mean, even for us, right, we're old enough to remember the old days when the only way to cycle through television stations was to just go and just like get a
Real
1
quick,
second
do you
preview.
remember
I
that?
do.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Okay.
I didn't know if you always had the fucking
No,
built-in
I
guide.
have that.
There was a scene, I can't remember which show it was. It was one, I think it might have been the Goldbergs, or maybe it was Freaks and Geeks. It was like one of the shows that was set,
Sure, set in the
like
back.
one generation or two generations back. And I had such a nostalgic thing, as I remember before even the days of TV remotes. And it was a family sitting, someone will remind me what the show is, I'm sure. It was a family sitting in the living room watching TV. And like the youngest kid in the family, it was his job to sit in front of the TV and change the channel. And the dad would go, no, no, no. No, okay, stick on that channel. And like just and that was how it worked. And now, of course, and then it became a thing where we could like go browse through channel guides and stuff. And now you don't even do that anymore. I very rarely sit in front of my TV screen and watch television. Like I as soon as I sit down, like all my stuff gets piped through the Xbox One, so the TV comes through it, Netflix comes through it, YouTube. I don't even bother to, unless it's something I know is only on TV, like an HBO show or something I want to watch. I don't even bother. I'll go straight to YouTube. I'll go straight to Netflix because it's just so much more fun and easy. And I get that kind of paralysis. You ever do that thing where like you sit in front of Netflix for like an hour and all you do is fucking browse? That's
all
and
I
you
do.
just and you're like, just fucking pick something.
Maybe,
And you just,
what about this one? Maybe. Put it in the maybes. You come back like 15 minutes later. Like,
put it on the watch list and maybe I'll come back to it. And this shit never gets watched.
I had the weirdest thing last night happen to me where my girlfriend was watching The Bachelorette, so that was weird. But then the weirdest thing was the commercials came on. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was such a jarring experience that she was watching on TV.
Live?
And
That's weird.
And I was like,
girlfriend's weird.
it was weird, man. Because I haven't experienced that. It's been years. It's been years since I've watched TV. Seen anyone watching TV.
If you're smart enough, of course, what you do is you join the show 15, 20 minutes late, so you have enough buffer to eat all the commercials. If you watch it, again, sometimes if it's like a show that, I remember when the series finale of Breaking Bad was on, and we were like, okay, I'm not leaving anything to chance. I'm watching it
As
dead,
live.
straight up live with everyone else, so that no one can fuck with me. And then of course there's commercials, and you're like, huh. What am I supposed to do now? Am I supposed to sit and watch these? Like, is that a
so
thing?
uncomfortable.
Yeah,
You're like,
it's
what do I do?
it's such a weirdly outdated model.
I had the same thing happen like 2 nights ago. I came home. My wife was watching Total Divas. Now, I love Total Divas.
Who doesn't love
I'll be
Total
honest with
Divas?
you. And I love it for a number of reasons. One, it's
it's
just
terrible?
good old fashioned TV, and two, the women are just gorgeous. And so my wife's watching it. And
What
she's
is
like,
Total Divas?
It's the reality show on VH1 that's the divas from WWE, the female wrestlers.
follows the female
and
wrestlers.
like, what did they just follow him around?
It's a
And
reality. It's
they
a
all have,
reality show.
It's,
Right.
it's totally the fake reality show.
Totally fake.
So
But
it's just like about their like lifestyles.
Yeah, and, and the fact that John Cena won't marry the one or have a baby.
Right. It's completely make believe. My wife realizes that too, but she still gets sucked into it, as do I, I'll be honest. And it was the same thing where she was watching it, and I kept picking up the remote during commercials and hitting the fast forward and coming to the realization every time that we were live. I'm like,
When you hit fast forward and you realize there's nowhere to go,
Nowhere to go.
you can't actually travel forward in time.
or
It's
the-
terrifying.
soul crushing.
Like there's only a few shows that I watch on TV that come on and I'll watch them religiously. MasterChef is one of those shows. I love that show. And Fox on demand stuff, you cannot fast forward it even in
Oh, I hate that.
VOD.
Oh, I hate
so
that.
like it's like fuck. Like what do you?
Yeah,
like,
and it's always the same fucking commercial over and over and
Yeah,
over.
the two. They
Yes.
cycle in them every
yeah,
single
including
time.
like
So
promoting
annoying.
MasterChef, and I'm like I'm
Yeah.
watching MasterChef. Yeah, so that shit's kind of annoying to me, but I agree. I like creating that buffer of removing commercials. It's just the way we we ingest content now. The expectations are different, and the thing that's going to be fucked up is that it's only going to get worse on TV because the money is going to start falling through, and have to have more advertisements, more injection of all of these kinds of things. Shit, you're seeing it with the NFL, who's already fucking out of control, when they were all making them use the Surface tablets, even like during games and stuff like that, and then the announcers are using Surface tablets, and all these funny pictures are on Deadspin of them using iPads.
Oh yeah, the iPad
like,
propped up behind
yeah.
the Surface. That was good.
That is hilarious.
So I think it's only going to get until it just craters, and then people are like, "This is not."
It'll fold in on itself eventually.
Yeah.
You've got services like Netflix and HBO now, which is like done standalone HBO.
So
done
that's what's
into it.
happening is that because now we have all this technology to skip through shows, we're actually weirdly going back to how television was in the 50s when the commercials were baked right into the show. Like you'd actually have.
Where he would stop and be like, "This is the
Lucky
product I'm
Strike,
using."
yeah, or whatever
That's
it was.
exactly what
or
we do on this show every day.
Brought
Like,
to
Greg's
you
gonna do
by
it soon.
Clorox.
I was gonna say commercials do suck, but you know what doesn't suck? Loot Crate. This episode is brought. This topic is brought to you by Loot Crate. Everyone, head over to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny to save $3 on any new subscription. You know Loot Crate, right?
I do.
Brings you 6 to 8 items a month.
Love it.
Nerdy.
It's a surprise.
Awesome geeky stuff that we like.
Yeah.
For less than $20. Every month, it's guaranteed to be $40 or more worth of items in there. It's curated around a theme. Previous crates have included Star Wars, Walking Dead, all the stuff we love. This month, you know what it is?
I do not know.
Villains.
Oh.
Whether they're
Nice.
terrifying or tragic, something about bad guys and gals is just plain fun. Probably the snazzy outfits, army of henchmen, and the totally relatable, quote, treat yourself to some sweet loot attitude. I didn't write this. Just putting
It
that
sounds
out there.
like something you wrote.
I like
It
it,
does,
though.
I know. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the darker side with epic items from Marvel and an exclusive DC figure that I will be keeping. Unique wearable. It's put in the crate before. It's each crate, blah, blah. So anyways, if you
Is
guys...
it Calendar Man?
I hope it's Calendar Man. He doesn't get enough credit.
No.
Yeah, I don't. Why
Really
is there not a
doesn't.
desk calendar from Calendar Man? There you go, Jim Lee. Easy merchandising idea. You know what I mean? I hate that. So if you guys want $3 off your new subscription, head over to lootcrate.com/kindafunny and enter the code kindafunny.
Before we move on to the next topic, last thing I want to say, YouTube is growing so fast that this last year at VidCon, there was a huge deal about Smosh. Like during the keynote, they said this, that Smosh hit 10 million subscribers.
Right, so I was looking at, I saw a thing last night on Netflix, Smosh the movie.
Smosh
and
the
I guess
movie.
it's these.
Yeah.
Came out last
They have
week.
a movie now. I
They
don't
do.
even know who the fuck they are.
Yeah, well, they were. They're
really nice guys.
They're nice guys. They've been I think that they're the longest running #1 subscribed channel on YouTube. Like if you
So what
count
is
up,
their
they're
act?
all the
Like,
time.
what's their angle?
They're two comedy guys. They're just two guys that are funny, and they just
Do they
do
just
things.
sit in
They're
front of the
best friends.
camera and like? Is
They
it
do
like
sketches.
This? Or like,
It's
what is-
sketches.
Okay, they
mainly
do comedy
sketches.
sketches.
They do a whole bunch of stuff now, but they've been doing it since the very beginning. But they hit 10 million subscribers last year at VidCon. That was a huge deal because it happened like that week, and they were the #1 most subscribed channel. Since then, PewDiePie outpaced them, and PewDiePie's now at 38 million.
Jesus.
So since a year, PewDiePie has went beyond Smosh to 38 million.
So you're saying there's 28 million.
Yeah.
So that's like 500,000. That's like 550,000 subscribers a week, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So actually, you know what? Here's what I need to do because I do want to learn. And in the same way that I will provide you with
like
like
where
a
this
top
is
10
going.
Columbos, I would if one of you guys could provide me with like a curriculum of
Yeah.
like here's some like was it Jenna fucking marbles or whatever.
Jenna
like,
fucking
here's
marbles.
Marbles
like,
is
here's
awesome.
like here's like 10 videos that
Yeah.
you should watch that will give you
To
like,
understand.
this is the landscape.
these should both be
That
forum
would-
posts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do 'em both.
That would
I'm gonna have Nick do this for you.
like the kind
Okay.
of dummies
Just
guys.
gonna be Jenna Marbles.
I'm joking.
All gonna be
YouTube,
Jenna Marbles.
you know who's who and you like
Yeah.
who are the people today.
Oh yeah, I would love to do that.
Yeah,
We should do
that would help me immensely.
Kevin, write a note. We're doing that.
Just put it on
Tim-
the
Tim- Tim should write it
forums.
down.
We're
I
going
will
to
either,
forums. Kindafunny.com/forums.
I will either learn something from it, or it will be the perfect excuse me to do what I love to do is just like fucking mouth off at the TV.
I
Like,
love that.
What the fuck is this
Yeah.
shit that passes for entertainment? I love to do that too.
Tim sends 10 videos that are all ours.
Yeah. This
Colin.
is what YouTube's all about.
Colin, what's your topic?
So I was watching. I like my documentaries. That's,
Oh,
that's
yeah, you do.
pretty much the only thing I watch. And
Where do you get them from?
typically Netflix or Amazon, yeah, and or on YouTube. There's a shit.
Yeah, good
there's a
ones on
fucking
YouTube.
metric shit ton of
Yeah.
documentaries on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was watching Ken Burns' The Roosevelts. Ken Burns, of course, and I'm curious since we have two film guys here. Ken Burns has to be completely unrivaled as a documentarian, right? Like, there's no one fucking even remotely on his level in terms of output and quality, right?
I don't know, but I will say that having watched a ton of very like varying degrees of documentary, some you might not even be able to call documentary on Netflix, they're not all created equal, and I'm sure Ken Burns is probably the top.
Well, Ken Burns is like, I'm gonna make a baseball documentary. Like, oh, it's gonna be like 2.5 hours. Like, no, I'm gonna make like 30.
30.
He
Yeah.
he pioneered what I believe is now known, like in Apple,
the Ken Burns.
the Ken Burns effect.
Yeah.
where you would take it, all he would have is archivally a still photograph, but he would move the camera into it to give you at least a sense of like motion as you were
Yeah.
watching a movie.
Yeah.
Genius,
And a
Never
little bit of
would've ripped that
noise
off.
in the background,
Yeah.
too. Like,
I cannot tell you how many projects I've done where I've been sitting on the other end with like a creative director or someone who's like, from an agency, and they go, so we'll just do this and we're just gonna Ken Burns it. And I'm like, what does that mean to you? Because it means a little bit something different to me, but
30-hour YouTube series.
Yeah, they just meant the picture.
Oh, I
I'm
wish.
like, okay, good, because I don't
Yes,
want to
Ken
make
Burns is
30
certainly
hours of
probably
baseball.
the greatest modern documentarian.
he's fucking awesome. And he's so good at what he does that the Roosevelts should have been like 35 or 40 hours long, and I would have watched the whole fucking thing. At 14 hours, I was like, this is way too short. I couldn't believe how short it was,
I
actually.
mean, because that's what he does, right? He doesn't just do like a 3-hour documentary. He does like an epic series of films.
Yeah. Like the Roosevelts was all about Teddy Roosevelt and then FDR and then Eleanor Roosevelt after FDR
these
dies.
were big people in America, by the way.
Thank you very much for helping me out with that.
Didn't know if they made it across.
They talk
the
about a
pond.
gentleman named Winston Churchill once or twice in the documentary.
Doesn't ring a bell.
worry about it.
So anyway, I'm watching this, and there's a moment in the documentary that really stuck with me, and I don't think it was a consequential part of the documentary at all. But they're talking about when Theodore Roosevelt takes over for McKinley after McKinley's assassinated, and Teddy Roosevelt's coming in, and he goes through his business, and then he chooses Taft as his replacement when he doesn't decide to run in 1908, and Taft comes in. And when the story goes that they're building at the White House the West Wing at that time, and the Oval Office. And that Theodore Roosevelt is walking through the Oval Office just like as it's being constructed. And I'm like, that's a fucking awesome visual, first of all. And then I'm like, so the White House, which really was first inhabited by John Adams, transcends all of this time. It was burned down by the British and all this kind of shit. But it's been a building. But the West Wing, and specifically the Oval Office, has taken on this really significant position in American politics and American history, right?
And it's interesting because when you look at pictures of the White House, you're typically not seeing the West Wing. You're seeing the residence.
Exactly. The building is what they called. They didn't even call it the White House until like the 20th century. It was called the Executive Mansion. And yeah, like you can't really see, like if you look at it from an aerial view, what you see is that like the White House is fucking massive, and it like what it's like all these tendrils that go all over the place. But like the White House itself is like where the president lives. Anyway, I was thinking about, okay, so the Oval Office, Teddy Roosevelt was the first man of consequence to walk in the Oval Office, and then Taft and Wilson and then Calvin Coolidge and Hoover and everyone else, Harding. So I was like, there's become a lot of history in this one building. And we often talk about the people we want to meet or the places we want to be in terms of a time, like, being at the Gettysburg Address or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I realized at that point as a lover of history that the Oval Office might be the most interesting place I can think of where you want to be a fly on the wall, where you want to go through the history and see all the fascinating things that happened there, whether it was Nixon recording every conversation he had in there, which was then his downfall, whether it was Clinton getting a blowjob from an intern in the Oval Office, whether it was...
That totally happened.
Yeah, like that. Like there's crazy shit that happened in that fucking room. That ran the gamut from Wilson conducting World War I and FDR conducting World War II from there, Truman dropping the atom bombs, Eisenhower doing all of his things, whatever, JFK, Bay of Pigs and all that stuff, all the way through today. And I was like, this is maybe the most fascinating space that I can think of where I would just like to be there and be able to rewind history and see all the crazy conversations and a lot of the illicit shit that happened there. Heads of state from all over the world happening there, fucking massive arguments and fallout happening in those places between people. I'm sure that every president has had sex in that room.
That's
I'm
what
sure.
I wanted to ask you, and not make it sound like we're hoo-hoo-hoo.
No,
like,
I mean,
that's
I'm
a real
sure
thing, right?
crazy.
That's got to be the first fucking checklist.
If
I mean, that'll be the first thing I did.
Get in here. That we're breaking this
The
room in
thing
right
that
now.
I find fascinating about that, though, like talk about like the Clinton blowjob, is like just how do you logistically pull that off? Because there's like there's 3 different doors into that room. There's a shitload of windows, right? There's fucking Secret Service everywhere. Like I don't know how Clinton. Was he like, let me just make
He's
sure
just like doors
he's
open.
Like, yeah, he's like shuts like don't bother me for the next 20 minutes. Like closes all. Like how do you even?
You have to
How do you even get away with it?
He's well, it's the Secret Services and probably his chief of staff are all complicit in this.
They must have been. Right?
And-
They gotta have a
because-
code word, right? Like banana.
Well, yeah, but it was
The
a great-
president's
banana
code,
time.
banana.
The chief of staff fucking has to because the chief of staff's office
It goes
is
right into the
immediately
West Wing.
adjacent to the Oval Office.
Exactly, and yeah, I mean it's. So I was just curious, like, what you guys thought about, like, what space would fascinate you in that sense, because to me, there's like serious history going on. To your point, like, it was amazing. They were talking about, and we knew a lot about Lucy Mercer and everything with FDR's affair. I mean, FDR had an affair with a woman for like 40 years, and Eleanor Roosevelt found out when he got back from World War I when he was traveling overseas and swore off that, like, he swore he would never see her again. Yet he was seeing her for like the next 30 years, and she was with him when he died. And this was facilitated by Eleanor Roosevelt's daughter. So there's like all these fucked up things, like where Eleanor Roosevelt was basically being like she was just going behind her back for fucking decades. And everyone around him was complicit. I'm saying that because I think with Clinton's situation, for instance, there was plenty of people that knew. And they just let it happen or whatever. But anyway, that's my space. I'm curious, like, what you guys think. Like, I would just love to hop in there during a Nixon conversation. I'd love to hop in there when Jimmy
Well, you
Carter's
kind of
falling
got
apart.
to a little bit because of the tapes, right? I mean, you didn't get everything, but that's as close as you'll ever get, I would imagine, is the Nixon tapes.
Yeah.
Which were all recorded in the Oval Office.
Indeed, and for people that don't know yet, Nixon recorded every conversation in the Oval Office because he wanted to have these archives, and then he realized that the archives were going to fucking ruin him, and they did. So, and then there was 18 minutes missing on one of them. No one ever knows what was on those.
Area 51.
Area 51, probably. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to throw it to you
Code
guys.
banana.
Maybe you have a similar answer. I don't
An
know. But I mean,
18-minute code banana.
I don't have a particular place, maybe, but I think I always thought it would be fascinating to be like on the Paramount lot, like the entire decade of the '80s, just seeing all the movies that were shot there and just being in that, in that world. Like LA in the '80s for film would have been just a trip to see all that happening. I don't know. I mean, I was fortunate. I've only been on a lot a few times. I interned on Paramount when I was in college, and just the amount of energy that's going around now is probably amazing. But I can't even imagine when like Spielberg was shooting Jaws. Just being able to maybe happen by that set, like, and that's part of the fun of seeing. And Gary, you've been on these huge.
You know about movies, right? You've seen
Yeah,
them.
and
these
it's
huge
funny
studio
because my
lots.
answer, I'm trying to find a good answer, and it's weird. Mine's almost kind of a weird combination of the two. One of the things that I've always tried to do during my years in the film business, and I've never been able to do it, is even just get onto like an Oval Office set, just like a fake one. Because you think about it, any given time, there's like 5 or 6 up anywhere,
Yeah.
right? Because there's so many shows and movies, and some will obviously overlap, like they build it, and a bunch of different shows will use them. But at any given time, there's like I guarantee you right now, there's someone is shooting something in an Oval Office set right now, and just the idea of like just being in the fake one, because you're never going to get in the real one, but just the idea of being in the fake one seems really fun. I worked on the Warner Brothers lot during the final season of The West Wing, and I was constantly trying to get over there. I didn't know anyone who worked on the show, but I was constantly trying to get over there to like see if I could sneak onto the West Wing set, because even just the fake version of it would be fascinating.
Well, that was
great show.
that great. Remember when Al Gore hosted SNL? And they did like a digital, not before they were like digital shorts, but like a standalone package or whatever, where he went and visited the West Wing set.
Right.
And he walked into the Oval Office, and he's like, and they're like giving the tour. He's like, "Can you just be quiet for a second?" And he sat down, and like, picked up the phone and acted like he was calling people.
This is hard.
Well, that's the problem. Is like the Oval Office. I'm trying to when it's boiled down to a room, right? That's
just
when
a space, a place. Yeah,
like because I
that's
would think
undefined.
like I've always thought it would have been fascinating to be like. Again, like a ghost or like in this 3D virtual world to be able to see something, experience without experiencing it, like Titanic. Like I would have been fascinated. The movie was good, don't get me wrong, but I mean like actually, what was that like? You know what I mean? Like what was happening there and all this different stuff. Different, similar to you, I guess, would be like it would have been awesome to be able to be omniscient during like Ghostbusters, right? Like be the fly on Dan Aykroyd's collar or whatever through all of that process of it,
Just hearing
getting
the
it
guys
and getting
shooting the
into
shit
it,
in between
how they're
takes.
going back and forth with like all the different rewrites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You say it's funny you say that. I actually think you can get even a better version of that experience just years later. Like there's a fascinating, since you mentioned Ghostbusters, there was a fascinating oral history of Ghostbusters published a year or two ago because of the anniversary, and it's fascinating to read. As exciting as you think it would actually be to like be there on the set, most of the time you're on a movie set, it is boring as shit. It is really, really, really dull. Like there's so much technical shit that has to happen just to set up. Like this is why it takes they'll shoot for like 12 hours a day, and they'll come away with maybe 20 minutes of stuff that they can use. So think about what's happening the other 11 hours and 40 minutes that's happening, and it can be incredibly dull. It's a tough one. I keep feeling like I keep dragging the conversation into the gutter because we were talking about blowjobs earlier. Like I would think it'd be fascinating to see famous people on the toilet. There was an there was an artist who did this recently. It was fascinating. He was a really, really good artist. I don't know if you saw this, but he drew really, really amazing. Everything as good as like the quality of art would be like good enough for a presidential portrait, but it was basically like the Queen or Obama or various people just sitting on the toilet. And because you think like. Everybody does it, but you don't. It just seems like such a weirdly incongruous image. Like at some point, once a day, twice a day. Hopefully, he's healthy and it's all good. But Obama has to pull his pants down and sit on the toilet and take a shit. And you just think like, wow, it's a very humanizing thing, and there's a reason why we don't share it publicly. But I just think the idea, it's not in itself interesting. Like I don't really care about like. What wiping technique he would use or anything. So our president wipes his ass. Like it wouldn't be actually that. It's just a weirdly private thing that I think makes even the largest YouTube star would become just a normal person when they're
Taking
riding,
shit, yeah.
Doing their business.
riding the porcelain bus.
Sure.
Now, see, I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. There is, I would like to know how he wipes because I bet it would be some advanced shit. Like, does he have someone that does it for him? Is there a
No.
bidet?
No,
Is there a bidet?
There should
in
be a
this room?
bidet.
the Queen might. I wouldn't be surprised if the Queen had someone who does it for her. I mean, she's like 80-something years old.
Yeah, she probably can't get back there as much as she used to.
Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't want to.
I bet you she has either a bidet or there's something going on there where it's it's basically
There's
done.
definitely something up for sure.
I wish. I mean, again, I don't want to go off track because this is a fascinating topic, but I do wish that the bidet were more popular.
Yeah.
I really
the
wish.
bidet's fucked up. You're crazy.
It's
Bidet's
great.
awesome.
Are you
Bidet's
kidding me?
awesome.
we
I'm not a
literally
fan.
have a topic about this.
I know.
What was it, episode
we
2?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great piece of technology that just never got picked up in the
no,
States.
I don't need. No.
No, I'm telling you.
It
you're
makes
missing
you
out.
clean, Colin.
Everything back there
Wow.
can be squeaky clean. Like right now, I'm pretty sure it's not squeaky. Well, maybe yours because you're pretty anal
I'm
retentive
thorough.
when it comes to your
I am
anal.
anal retentive.
You're very anal retentive.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is a harder question to answer than I thought, but just because like I'm trying to go places where there's density of history. The only
Right.
the only other answer I could possibly think of is the Vatican. That's basically it. And because like
Mine was a Nintendo.
That was next on my list.
I would
yeah.
love to, and I'd have to be a fly that speaks Japanese, but been around in like the Nintendo boardroom or office, right, to see every, and I'm talking about from like the beginning to now, like every decision when they originally bring in prototypes when they're
Yeah.
talking about
Right.
partnering with Sony.
There are
stuff like
certain when I someone gave me the making of Star Wars books, the J.R. Rinsler books.
those
and
are
they're
excellent.
fascinating, and they've got a lot of great transcripts. And again, it's like these moments where this is like something where you'd be fascinated to be in the room. I remember I got a chill just reading it. So it's George Lucas and Larry Kasdan and Richard Marquand, who's the director of Return of the Jedi, sitting around talking, just breaking the story, just figuring shit out. And they know that Luke has to have a lightsaber, right? Because he needs one in the story. But we know that he lost it at the end of The Empire Strikes Back, right? Because it goes off with his hand. And so they're talking about trying to figure this out. Like, okay, we want to explain. We need him to have a lightsaber in this scene. But how do we make sure that the audience doesn't get confused and go, well, like I thought he lost that. Is that the same one? You never get a good enough look at it to really see if it's a different design or whatever. And so I think it was Kasdan who said like, well, why don't we just make it a different color blade? Like, why don't we make it green? And they went, okay, fine. And you go, oh shit, that's the like, and now that was the moment where they decided that thing that became a part of movie history that we all recognize.
Yeah.
And it's just guys sitting around a table just going, yeah, fine. Let's do that.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
awesome.
See, the
That's
question,
awesome.
the question's hard for me because I don't think there's one space because I feel like a lot of things that I'm interested in kind of move around. Like this is the most Tim answer to any of this stuff, but like I would love to be a fly that isn't in one room, but would just follow Bernie Burns around for the last 10 years. Like there's so many questions. I'm such a fan of Rooster Teeth and all that stuff, but I'm also a fan of the business behind it all and to see how he and all of his partners kind of created this whole space that we now have learned from and now we are doing.
Yeah.
But I would love to actually have been there and see all the ups and the downs that we obviously don't know. And like to see how all that stuff happened and how like what choices had to be made and like all those things. But that wasn't like a one space, And the Nintendo thing, I doubt there's like the Nintendo room.
Exactly. There's not
There's
like,
just one
hey, we're
room.
about to have some important conversation. Let's go to the room.
Yeah, where's Mr. Nintendo? Let's get him in here. It'll be this whole thing.
No, but just being
He's
in
doing
that,
Let's Plays with Greg and Tim again. Get him out of there.
no, but just being in that world during that time and era, right?
Yeah.
Like where everything was real, like especially for Nintendo, where they were on the cutting edge of innovation, where they were about to revolutionize the market by releasing the NES and making the idea of having a gaming console in your living room, like or not having a gaming console in your living room, unfathomable for any kid, right? The second you saw that thing, you were like, I have to have this in my life, right? So understanding like what their marketing strategy was for that and how they were going to challenge Atari and how they were going to challenge some of the other like the PC in
The
general.
behemoth that was the Sega Master System.
Right, exactly. That would be fascinating, especially if you're a lover of games. But yeah, Tim, I don't know. That'd be yours is a weird. You're global, man. I don't know. You're in a weird space.
You're global.
It'd be hard to pinpoint one place for you though. That's
No,
what I'm
I
saying.
know. Oh,
Except
yeah.
maybe L.A. circa 10 years ago when they were filming a small film called The Fast and the
You
Furious.
guys do need to do the oral history of the Fast and
Well, I
Furious.
mean, really, what it would be at the house. I'd want to just.
Oh, that house. Yeah.
I would have wanted
It's
to
a
be
real
there for
house,
all
right?
of the barbecues.
Isn't
yeah.
that a real
I can
house in
only
LA?
imagine that real barbecues have taken place at that table.
Do you think that for a rap
Wait,
party
so
they
now
were
I'm
like,
confused.
let's
Are you
just
talking
throw a
about
rap
in
party
the
here?
universe, or are you talking about at the filming, or are you talking about that houses at the real barbecues with just the normal people who live there?
Well, I hope you know, Greg, that The Fast and Furious is actually a documentary.
Oh, that is a documentary.
Did you not know that?
I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
So all those
crazy.
things are one and the same.
I've got a good one. I'd like, because, we've all been, apart from the toilet stuff, we've all been very above board. I like the idea of being a fly on the wall, like Rolling Stones tour bus, like 1968.
Oh, that is a good
Just
one.
check that shit out, because that would be crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like
You'd
that
see
would
some shit.
that one would be like you can't go back from that. You would see stuff and be like, my life is so non-important and non-exciting in comparison to this that I got to end it. I'm done. That would be fascinating. Any of those big bands in the 70s
sure.
would be awesome. But yeah, Rolling Stones specifically, because
That's a good one.
those cats partied.
Oh yeah, they partied.
They still
hard.
party.
Gary,
Probably.
what's your topic?
Oh, I have to have a topic?
Yeah.
Oh, I have, yes, of course. So,
You're a veteran of the show at this point.
so last time I brought you some English snacks. Right, because you did Oreo oration,
Sure.
and I said, well, perhaps you'd like to orate on some of the snack
You
foods.
brought us the Jammy Dodger.
Jammy Dodgers.
Yeah.
What else did we try?
The hobnobs.
They were
the
a hit,
hobnobs
right?
were the best.
Hobnobs are
What was the big hit in the end? We tried
I
Jaffa,
loved
Jaffa
hobnobs.
cakes.
I was a fan of the jammies.
Yeah, you like the Jammy Dodgers. Jaffa cakes were successful.
Yeah, all right.
They didn't blow anybody's hair back. Everybody but me really liked the cup of noodles or whatever the hell it was.
Oh,
it's
the
all
pot
about that.
noodle.
Pot
That's
noodle.
right.
Yeah.
So I brought more.
Oh God.
Oh yes.
Okay.
yeah.
Now,
I
for the
brought
record, we
another
don't know what
selection.
you've brought.
No, I asked you earlier. I said, "Do you want to see what I've got?" And you said, "No, you want it to be a surprise."
Big time.
So whatever your reaction is
Okay.
as we go forward is going to be a genuine thing.
All right.
And now this is actually a little more elaborate than before. I've got some savory stuff, some that actually requires a little bit of preparation.
Oh, okay. You want to? Then here we're gonna do a quick break, and Kevin's gonna set it up, and then Kevin just crossed the thing. But yeah.
Well, we can actually. I mean, so we can. I've got a bunch of stuff that is just ready to go.
Oh, okay.
So we could start with that.
And you know all the prep stuff you need to do.
Toast some bread.
So
Oh, in
well,
the
look,
microwave. Yeah.
if you no, don't worry about the mic. Just when this is not a part of the thing, is it?
It can be or it can't be. What do you want it to be?
I would say just toast some bread, enough for everyone, like a slice of bread for everyone.
That's
I
five.
brought some Wonder Bread, and
Speaking Colin's
and then
language.
just basically bring that box in here, that box of stuff.
Okay. You don't want me to microwave that stuff?
I don't think we need to do it yet.
Okay.
Got it.
Upon introduction, we can microwave
Okay, are
this
we-
stuff.
We might want to save
Yeah,
that.
well.
We might want the microwave thing. We might want to save for last
Okay.
because it's the most crazy.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
do this. You don't have any sliced cheese, do you?
Like what kind of
Like
cheese?
Kraft cheese, just like slices of like squares
probably
of
do,
cheese.
yeah.
Do you?
Kevin, can you check the Kraft?
I'll look for the
single
Kraft cheese.
situation
I'll look
right
for the
now?
singles.
Yeah, if you have any
see
Kraft
what's
singles,
going on with that.
not necessary, but if you have it, that would help.
All right, I'm gonna fill my water. And I'll check.
break
for
for
Kraft.
Let's do
just
this.
break.
Let's take
take
a
a break
moment.
for a
I'll come out there and I'll help you with
Kill the camera, Kevin.
various bits.
Don't break it.
Okay.
It's
Hand
not
these
at
out.
all.
What's up?
Just do it. Here,
we'll do it.
Just do it. Start passing them out, Nick.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh yeah, everyone gets their own plate.
We're back. And you've made sandwiches.
Yes, it's British snack time. This was
It's my
This
favorite
was-
snack time.
That
Quite
was
a-
interesting.
quite a popular segment, I thought, last time I
It
was
was.
here.
It was no. Numerically, it was very popular.
People did ask for more, and so
More you brought.
I'm happy to oblige. Now, last time we limited it strictly to sweet
Yeah,
snacks,
yeah.
chocolate and candies and stuff like that.
I'm
That is
horrified. I'm sorry.
that is still the majority of what I have for you today.
Okay.
I have another good selection, I think. A lot of
Okay.
stuff that I wanted to bring last time. A lot of things that people, in response to the last show, said, oh, you should have brought this or that.
Yeah.
Well, I've tried to bring some of those things again now. But we're going to open it up a little bit. We're going to start savory first.
Okay.
Now, we're going to... Now, these are all things that I think are kind of great British classics. Anyone
These
who
are
is-
all great. You'd put these all.
Well-
Are these on pot of noodle great?
Oh, no, these are far more. These go back into English, further back into English history than pot noodles. We'll see.
King George
Now,
is eating these.
we're going to start, and this will be. I'm going to start. Actually, this is kind of the hardest one, and I'll get easier.
Okay. Oh my god.
There are in fact a lot of English people that can't stand this stuff, but I'm a big fan of it. This is called Marmite.
Marmite.
I don't know if you've ever had it. There's an Australian version of it called Vegemite, which I think
Okay.
is vastly inferior.
Yeah. Okay.
This is technically yeast extract. I have no idea what the fuck that means. No one's ever really asked the question.
Okay.
But typically what you do with it is you spread it on toast.
Okay.
And you have it for your breakfast in the
Okay.
morning.
Okay.
So
And
I'm
you
gonna-
like this one?
I personally do like it.
Okay.
Now they tell you when you first give someone Marmite to try to spread it very, very, very thinly because a little goes a long way.
That is caked
And
on.
it really
yes.
looks like you guys went real thin on it.
You let Kevin do that, didn't you?
I always thought a fun thing to do would be to tell people this is Nutella and let them like really get into it. So this is, you're going to go in on a deep end here.
Okay.
So here's this is Marmite on
Please,
toast.
Well, I'll take a bite together.
I'll
On the
invite
last
you
segment,
all.
we talked about Queen Elizabeth taking a shit.
And
here
yes,
it is.
And now
You said,
Thank you.
I have 2 slices left. Do you want a piece of this?
There's no plate now, Kevin.
Okay,
Don't
there's
get
no
crumbs
plate.
everywhere, Kevin.
All right.
Yeah, Kevin, seriously.
We have
Now
we have
I-
ants all over this goddamn house.
I just licked a little off my finger,
Yeah.
and
So you're
it's
cheating already?
just the dollop of it on my finger,
Yeah.
and my entire mouth is full of flavor country right now.
Now
So this is
do-
going to be fascinating.
Do dive in and just take a good bite.
How could you like this?
That's a Marmite face right there.
Why would you?
Whoa!
Holy shit. It's got some kick.
It's like a Swanson's TV dinner Salisbury steak.
That's why I like it.
It's the juice
That's
off
exactly
the
why I
Salisbury
like it.
steak spread onto the bread.
It sound. You know what this reminds me
You
of?
actually
is-
like it?
And here's why. When I was a kid, growing up Italian, the tradition would always be, and I don't know if it was a tradition that I started or if it was just something that you felt universally through all Italians.
I don't like
You're going to
this.
throw up. Is that, and Colin, you can back me up on this,
It does taste a bit biley, yeah.
is that at the end of every meal, there's always sauce on your plate.
Sure.
And inevitably, you can't let the plate go back to the dishwasher.
You put a little cheese in it?
But I put a little cheese in. But no, you take the bread and you sop it up.
Exactly.
And so this reminds me of my mom's. She would make steak with a little bit of like steak gravy. Like she'd take the juice from the steak and put it, and like it was very salty. And that would always be at the bottom of my plate. And then I would always take a piece of bread and sop that up. So yeah, I'm digging this actually.
But this
I'm
is
not gonna
actually a
lie.
vegetarian product. There's a meat-based version of it called Bovril, which is even more hardcore.
They should work on their names a little bit though,
like
because
how it's
neither of
called.
those sound particularly appetizing.
The catchphrase in the back, in your gravy, maybe?
Maybe. Probably not.
The last big TV advertising campaign they did for Marmite a few years ago was giving it to people who haven't tried it. And you go one way or the other. You either love it or you make that face over there, that
Yeah.
Marmite face.
I can't
It's not for
understand
everyone.
liking this. Yeah, no, this is like a.
no good.
And I
Not
like
for me,
things.
not for me.
I'm a big
Greg,
fan
I'm
of
guessing
things.
you're not a fan
No.
either. Okay.
I actually like it. I'm not gonna lie.
I took another bite and it confirmed my.
You're the only one
suspicions.
that's gone in for a like
Kevin's
continued
knocking
bites.
his out of the park. You like
Kevin,
yours?
what do you
Oh yeah, what's the verdict over here?
Tastes like that's gravy.
A gravy, yeah.
No, see, it does taste like that, but it tastes like bad that and like too much that. It's
Yeah, it tastes
I'm
like
a fan
this
of
is a
that.
weird
It's
The
thing.
very-
aftertaste.
It's,
It's
very
making me
much-
British. I'm getting an accent.
Sticky.
It tastes like if
Yeah,
you
take,
cook,
yeah,
if
take
you're
that.
cooking
Thank you.
steak on like a saucepan, like the remnants of it.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you'll accidentally like scrape a little bit off and taste it, and it's super charred and super salty. That's what that tastes like.
No,
Yeah,
but see, here's
literally
my
we'll
thing.
take bread and do that with that.
I love how my mouth tastes right now. This is good.
The aftertaste of it's
The
really
This is
good.
aftertaste?
real
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
The
yeah,
initial
for sure.
bite can be overwhelming.
It's it's very overwhelming.
The ingredients are bizarre. Did you look at the ingredients?
No, I refuse
Yeast
to.
extract, salt, carrot, and onion extract concentrate.
I can taste the onion.
Vitamins, and then natural flavoring contains celery.
Let me see the
See?
vitamin
All-
count.
I mean,
bet
all
this
those
is like good for you.
They
though.
all sound like things that would be good for you.
Not bad.
It sounds,
Vitamins?
All those ingredients sound
Vitamins.
good on their own. To me.
You got 25% folic acid. This is actually not the
Okay.
nicest
You gotta have your
30%.
folic acid.
This is the one that is
B12
really
10%.
scaring
This has
me.
actually got a lot of
This
vitamins
is,
in it.
if you can handle, this is like I said. This I consider this easier than Marmite.
I
Okay.
hope so.
Zero carbs.
So this is something else that's very popular. This is known as Branston pickle.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. I can tell.
You may or may not like this. This is kind of a chutney. If we look at the ingredients, vegetables in variable proportions: carrot, rutabaga, onion, cauliflower, marrow, and gherkin. Sugar, barley
What
malt
the
vinegar.
fuck is gherkin?
It's a pickle.
It's a pickle.
It's a pickle.
That's another word for pickle. Too. Yeah,
Now,
I
what you
wanna
do
put it as a
is
star.
typically, I'll set the scene for you.
Sure.
Sunday evening in a typical British household, say around 5 p.m. It's tea time. You and the family settle down on the sofa to watch the Antiques Roadshow, and the family enjoys with a nice pot of tea, cheese and pickle sandwiches. So the pickle part is the Branston pickle, and the cheese is just like sliced cheese, like Kraft singles,
That's what
which
made us
you've
here.
provided.
Yeah.
So I would just suggest that you just take a sandwich and take a good bite out of it.
All right.
Portillo's gagging.
Here's the thing: it's chunky,
Yeah.
it's kind of savory, it's tangy.
It's gherky.
I'm a big fan. Again, you may not. My suspicion is this one will be more polarizing. I think one or two of you
Gonna
probably
love it.
won't take more than one bite. One of you might like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. It's very, very
I'm hoping
divisive.
I like this one.
So go ahead.
Kevin, do you want to have one of these?
There's not. No, you have to have one. You
Well,
have
we
to
can-
have
Do
one.
you
And
wanna have
again,
mine?
we have ants in this house.
All right.
It smells good.
Yeah, this one.
I'll give you a free
Smells
one.
real good.
I'll
It
give you a
smells
free
very
one right
tangy.
now that you know that gherkin is a pickle, a fun thing to say is, "Were you jerking your gherkin?"
No, yeah. Oh no, I've heard that before.
You just didn't know what the gherkin was.
Thought they were referring to my penis.
All right, so cheese and pickle sandwich.
Yeah, just take a good bite out of that one.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm all about this.
That's real
You like
good.
that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
No? You want to give yours to Kevin?
I'm not into it.
So
Really?
It's not that offensive.
Nope.
So you're a one bite
Greg,
special.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Not a
Greg.
fan?
Oh yeah, there's a fucking bite of a sandwich on top of another bite of a thing. Big deal, everybody. Grow up.
Kevin, do you want this now?
I would just say go in from the other corner
Going from the ass
and
end.
don't worry about. There you go.
Kevin, you can come on camera now. Everyone knows.
Oh, did you spit that out?
I did. It's really
Oh, that's the first time I've seen you spit anything out.
Yeah, that's what I was reacting
It's not
to.
a,
It was
it's not
disgusting.
offensive, but I don't.
So
gross. You know, here's my thing: is you know how my stance on liquids and solids. That is a little bit too much of the mixture.
Gotcha.
right.
There's-
Texture-wise, it can
Can't
be.
do the texture. That's
But
why.
I would kind of call that one right. That we've got two fans
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
3 fans, in fact.
This is another one of the aftertaste I don't mind.
Right.
I have an issue
you
with this
should-
though. It's too much concentrated gherkin
Okay.
because I'm liking the outside, the rim of it.
Yeah.
Where it's just the
Which
juice.
I just get the juices in a little bit, but when I get too much of the,
Do you feel that you're able to
stuff-
discern individual flavors in there?
I mean, no.
How do you feel about again the textures? I
I
think what,
mean, no.
the texture is what has people either liking it or not liking it. It's this kind of like a
Yeah, I'm done with it.
like a sauce, but it has these big chunky.
yeah, I can't do
See,
this
if it were
texture.
more of a puree, I think it would be easier to consume.
Taste wise,
It's not
I
offensive.
didn't
taste-wise.
enjoy it, but I don't hate it.
It's not. It's
Do you mind
not.
if I
not-
take a bite of yours? Because
not
obviously you haven't had a bite. in a
Crazy
while.
Mite or whatever this thing was.
Crazy Mike.
No.
See, I don't know how you can't like that.
Oh, it's so good.
That to me is flavor country. Just like, it gets you. You know when it gets you like right there?
Yeah.
Like right in the taste, right back there.
Right in the taste buds.
Right
As
where
he
you-
points to
right-
your
right-
tongue.
Is that points to my tonsil?
I think that's how it works.
But you feel that, you know when you eat something really tangy, you feel it kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah.
Right in the gag reflex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite place.
All right. Well, you'd be glad to know I think the difficult stuff's over.
All right, okay.
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 So what was the verdict in the end? Marmite was pretty much was not a hit.
I'm going,
right?
back to,
no,
I'm
no.
going back to this.
You're
I gotta
going
be
back to the
honest.
Oh, you
Marmite.
went back to the
Honest.
Marmite. Okay.
It's just something about it. It's bold.
I think. I mean, I agree that it is not as offensive as
Yeah.
Vegemite, but I find it similar, very similar, because I think it's the same kind of product, right?
Yeah, it's not not terribly different.
I thought people liked Vegemite. I thought that was like.
Oh,
the
Vegemite's
jam.
like a. I remember when
Marmite, I think, is maybe a little sharper, a little more tart. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Vegemite I had for the first time in the 90s when my brother-in-law went to Australia and came back, because I'm a huge peanut butter fan. He's like, well, this is what they spread on their bread over there. And I'm like,
Right.
all right, I'll try. And I'm like, oh,
Could not be
Jesus.
more different than
Yeah,
peanut
no.
butter.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, so I didn't have lunch today. I just had a bagel.
Yeah.
And when I saw all these like sandwiches and stuff, I was like, all right, this is about to be good. And I looked down, I saw that. I'm like, that looks like some jelly. I looked in, I was like, all right, I'm getting
wasn't
a
what
peanut
you
butter and jelly
expected.
sandwich
With cheese.
I got super stoked. I'm about to get some British peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then I noticed there's cheese. I was like, it's a weird peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Then I ate it. I'm like, all right, I don't know about this pickled.
Still going strong over here.
Yeah, Kevin likes it.
Kevin will eat anything.
Kevin is.
You could cut open
like
a D
garbage
battery and
disposal.
Kevin would eat it with a spoon.
You could cut open a D battery.
And Kevin would eat
Now,
it with a
all
spoon.
right, so
accurate.
Gary,
It's
tell me.
accurate.
So this is still common today in,
These
your, in your
are
mother country?
these are absolute staples. Like you would find these in almost any British cupboard.
so comparable
in
to
pantry,
peanut butter and
whatever.
jelly or something like that?
I wouldn't necessarily say go that far.
Yeah,
but,
no, nothing is comparable to peanut butter and jelly.
But I'm saying in terms of ubiquity.
But both of these, even within the British society, these are very. There are people that just can't stand either of these things, and they don't. Again, I don't think they're so unique and so very specific in their taste that I don't think they travel particularly well. Like, it's fascinating to me to watch you try them, and the fact that any of you liked any of it actually was quite surprising. I fully expected you to not like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is of course why I enjoyed
Can you
preparing.
Torturing us.
Can you buy this in the States?
Yes.
Oh, these
I'm
are you
getting a
bought
bottle.
these in the States, right?
I'm
They
getting-
were-
Yeah,
I'm
you
getting
were-
a jar. I'm getting a
both
jar
of these actually came from Cost Plus World Market.
I'm done. I'm in.
oh,
I feel this one where it should have been a little thinner. It should be way thinner.
The Marmite
and
should have
the
been
Marmite because it's
Do you?
very pungent.
I actually
God,
happen to
there's more.
have a spare jar of it.
I would love to take that home. Thank you, sir.
Now let me ask you a question real quick before we get any further into
I
this.
feel like I'm just gonna put this on chicken.
You have a taste. You have a taste of American. You have a taste of Britain, and you're very familiar with both. If you were going to play this game with your British friends,
Yeah.
what would you take from us and be like, this is what they eat here, and this is probably a little fucking weird, and the Americans are weird kind of.
I never understood. I grew up reading Peanuts comics when they always ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I never understood that as a flavor combination, but obviously it's very much a staple
It's a thing.
here.
Yeah.
I never. There's a. The thing is, I've lived here for so long now that I'm very Americanized in my taste. So a lot of things that I used to find off-putting, I now like those things. So I'm not sure what I would show to English people to say, well, this is what Americans eat. I will say, I just thought of a really good tip for you on this. So take a little, like half a spoonful of that, and mix it in with some spaghetti sauce. And it just adds just enough of a little kind of zing to the spaghetti sauce. Fantastic.
I might try that.
It's great for. I mean, putting it on toast is like kind of the route one way to eat it. But you can basically just take a little bit of it. It's like a very thick syrupy kind of paste. But put it in a sauce, put it in gravy or whatever, and it will melt down and mingle and mix with the sauce. And you can feel how sharp it tastes. Right, it's a really tart taste. But once you kind of melt it down and distill it a little bit, it'll add just a nice little zing.
Yeah, I'm legitimately thinking about putting this on chicken and seeing what that tastes like as a seasoning for it. I'll let you know how that goes. I might actually put it on steak too. I'm cooking steak tonight, so I might put this on top of it and just char it.
Right.
and
So
see what
Greg,
happens.
nothing so far that you've liked.
No,
Okay. Well,
except you, my favorite British import.
Well, we're going to move into the sweet stuff now.
All right, now
And
we're
I think it's going to get a little bit easier. This was something that I was specifically asked to bring on my last trip here. After the last trip, this is one of those things people said, "Oh, you got to bring blah blah blah." The next thing, these are called Tunnocks tea cakes, and they're actually Scottish, but they've been around since 1890.
So they got to be good.
So they've been around for a long time, and they're extremely popular. And I will tell you, the closest analogy to this is it's basically like a s'more.
Okay.
Yeah.
But fully encased in chocolate. It's kind of hard to explain
Sold.
it. But
Okay.
I'll invite you to just to kind of try.
Now this is chocolate, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to step out of this one.
This
That's okay.
one is not for you. But I think there's 6 in a packet. My dad used to love.
Oh, they
these.
feel heavenly already.
Oh, they're really
There's
light.
enough for everyone. So
Eat over that plate, Kevin.
There you go, Kevin.
I'm going to take one as well. Now you've got a spare because Colin's not partaking.
I might take this home to
These,
my wife.
I am confident that these will
Please
be a
do.
hit.
And I just feel like if I try it, I know I'm not going to like it, so I don't want to. I don't want to.
You're not a big chocolate fan?
No, I don't like
You need
chocolate.
chocolate.
That's right. We went over this already. Kevin's nodding.
Kevin's already balls
alright.
deep inside of this thing.
Kind of a cross between a s'more and like a moon pie.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the moon pie vibes.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Because the marshmallow inside is not quite as chewy as marshmallow normally is. That's real good.
But these are real popular in England. These have been around, like I said, for a long time. I don't even think,
Yeah.
I don't even think they've changed the design of the box, in a really long time. That looks like an old school box.
Holy crap, that's good.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really good.
A delicious biscuit base topped with marshmallow and covered with real milk chocolate.
Now, I think the fascinating thing for me would be to see what they don't have. Do they have Reese's peanut butter cups in the UK?
Yes, but you have to go to the American import section to
Oh,
get
so it's
to get it.
legitimately not they don't get extra.
Peanut butter is not huge in England, and it's certainly not a big part of the candy ingredient mix.
Gotcha.
What
Interesting.
about Doritos?
You can get Doritos are readily available. In fact, Cool Ranch Doritos are called Cool American.
Shut up.
In England. Yeah.
No way.
That I've
Oh,
still
did I have a
seen.
little?
Yeah, I
schmaltz
got
there?
you.
Okay.
Oh, here, the other side too.
I like that a lot.
Thank you very much.
Good job, Greg. Good job.
You wrote Star Wars. God damn it! Someone's got to take care of him.
All right, so that's the Tunnocks tea cake.
That was really good.
That was
was
good.
really
I'm interested in how that would taste without the marshmallowy stuff, though. If it was just the biscuit and the chocolate.
Well, the marshmallow is most of the
I know.
volume of it.
I get that. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I feel like that was a little.
It would be
I'm
like
not
a
a fan of the
hobnob.
moon pie.
Be like a hobnob.
We're going to move on to something a little trickier.
I'm excited about the Marmite.
Have you ever had Turkish Delight?
No, I've read about it in a little book called The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
My God.
Well, Turkish Delight is a particular kind of jellied confection, which is, originally from Turkey. It's very, it's
Kevin's yelling at me.
very, very popular. But basically, they created a very kind of consumer-friendly version of it, which is called Fry's Turkish Delight. It's a little candy bar like that. It's basically Turkish Delight covered in chocolate. And the reason I bring it, this has been around ever since I was a kid in England. Like, it's not super popular. It's not like Snickers, but it's always there in the candy aisle.
Oh, okay.
And there's nothing else quite like it.
So it's like the Milky Way. No one's actually buying it. It's just kind of there chilling.
I guarantee you, if you've never had any kind of Turkish Delight before, you've never had anything like this.
Okay.
But I really like it. When I'm in the mood for something like different, this is always what hits the spot. Now, I only have 3 of these, so you're going to have to split them up.
Okay.
But I'm happy to you obviously won't be partaking.
You split one with Tim, and I'll split one with Nick.
Okay.
And then
Alright,
Kevin
so
can have a whole.
Ready? And that one you can split.
All right. You're not going to go hungry tonight, Kevin.
This is one where I actually got enough for everyone, but I ate 2 of them.
Surprisingly heavy.
It is a thick bastard. Well.
Not for you?
Nick,
can
just
already.
come here and bite off your half.
Yeah, see, this is not one that I would like.
you know,
So just the consistency
Kind of like a jelly.
I'm not a fan of the jelly.
This one's
What
not
does it
popular.
remind me of that I don't like?
An undercooked jelly bean.
What the fuck, Greg?
I don't know.
Tastes like an undercooked jelly bean.
Oh no,
So I
I'm
like
getting
the-
licorice. I'm getting shades of licorice.
I like the flavoring of
I'm
it.
actually
It's the
surprised this is not more
consistency.
popular with you guys because I really like this one.
No. Jelly bean. That's what it reminds me of.
But you know what I mean? There's nothing else. Like, you've never had anything quite like that, right?
Let's pay attention.
It's unique. In the candy pantheon, it's unique.
Well, it
really
tastes
is.
like
Nobody's-
it tastes like a bunch of the flavors of jelly bean that I like least, are surrounded by chocolate. So when I first bit into it, I liked it.
I think that says all that needs to be said.
Yeah.
I don't know what that fucking Peter kid in line with the
All right,
wardrobe's
so the
doing.
Turkish Delight is a no. Anytime we have something that's not hugely popular,
You're gonna come back with something.
I'm
that-
coming back with something that I know you'll like.
right,
Something
all
that's
right. I
very
like that.
user friendly. Now,
Bringing back
you
the
want to talk
Jolly
about
Dodger.
something that is like really, really popular with. This is one of those. Again, you want to talk about staples, like every English cupboard or pantry or whatever is going to have one of these. This is called a penguin.
I love penguins.
Not actually penguin flavored or anything. That's just
Made of penguins.
just the branding.
Yeah.
But this is just a very simple cookie biscuit. There's
Okay.
nothing spectacular about
Okay.
it. But this is like a basic cornerstone.
Okay, I got you.
And they're very.
Thank you.
I actually just introduced these to my wife just yesterday.
Oh, there's
and
2 in
she
the package. I
loves
see where it
them.
is.
Perfect. You give me one.
Yeah.
I get the other.
So these
double
ones
team
is
this.
actually plenty. There's enough for everybody.
It's not what I thought. When you said a basic biscuit, I thought it was going to be just a plain
Basic
cookie, but it's
biscuit?
also.
Oh no, it's a
It's all
chocolate
chocolate
covered cookie.
covered.
I got one for you over here.
Defiling everything with chocolate.
So already the packaging I'm a big fan of because you got the blue, I got the pink. This penguin is skiing on flat ground. So
got a yellow
he
one.
knows
Cross
what's up.
country skiing.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he's doing a little.
Yeah. There's a reason why these are popular.
I'd be interested to know what you think would be the closest American analog here.
A Kit Kat, maybe.
This is good.
Very good.
Can't go wrong with the penguin.
No.
Oh, Tim's gone to a whole other place.
I'm trying to close my eyes and imagine what this reminds me of because it's something specific.
I agree. It's there.
It reminds me of ice cream.
God damn, I was going to say the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
It tastes like chocolate ice cream,
Yeah.
which is right now making me realize that chocolate ice cream doesn't taste like chocolate. It tastes like its own thing, which is this.
That's deep.
Yeah.
True, okay. It's true, Tim.
That is
Very
deep.
true.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
I don't know, but I like this a lot.
Good. I'm glad that one is
That
That was good.
It's rich.
popular.
It's rich, I said.
That one's like entry level, right?
Yeah.
No one's going to eat a penguin and go, "That's not to my taste."
is
Because
changing.
what's not to like?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very straightforward. It's not like the Turkish Delight or Marmite or something where there's like anything weird going on.
Turkish Delight, once you bite into it, it feels like you've been pranked. Like the candy company ran out of real candy and they just made these little gelatin blobs and covered them in chocolate and sold them to you. Similar to the time on the Cosby Show when Cliff ate a piece of cake and then filled it back in with the frosting on top. Rest in peace. I know we can't talk about it anymore in a positive sense, the Cosby Show, but I'm putting it out there.
Yes, now known to be one of his lesser crimes.
Jesus. All right, what's the next candy?
This is one I specifically was looking for, like a few things that Colin could also partake in because there isn't eat chocolate, and there's really not that. There wasn't a ton of stuff out there. I haven't actually had these in years myself, but these are again very popular when I was a kid. And again, these are just like a basic staple. These are called Garibaldi biscuits.
Gary Baldy biscuits.
What's so funny about that? Garibaldi biscuits.
It sounds funny.
There's too many games.
These are just. These are just. And I have to translate for you. Golden crispy biscuits, cookies.
Yeah.
Filled with currants, raisins.
Uh-oh.
So this is kind of like this is not going to be.
Greg's face. Greg's not happy with this.
I'm not mad. It's just you don't hear about cookies being filled with raisins too often.
That's not true. We have things like that. We have the Fig Newton. We have things like that.
Well, that's not filled with raisin though. That's fruit
know,
and cake. That's a different thing.
Give that a try.
Thank you.
See, I will say I'm a fan of Raisin Bran.
I like that it's
the
flat.
cereal.
Yeah, can you,
It's flatbread. You know what I mean?
God, I haven't had one of these in like 20
I can
years.
see eating this at Passover.
I like that.
You know?
I'm fond of that.
The currants give it a chewiness,
Yeah.
which I like.
This tastes like Raisin Bran in cookie form. I'm
Yes.
happy with that because I like Raisin
Yes.
Yeah, if they
It's
would,
exactly what it
if
tastes
they
like.
were to brand extend Raisin Bran into a cookie
Into
form,
a cookie.
that's
it'd
probably
be
what they
this.
come up with.
And I like that because I feel like
nailed it.
Raisin Bran gets a bad rap.
This is
I
taking
agree.
me back to watching Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, the TV show. And what my mom used to get me from the grocery store were basically it was a Mexican delicacy. A wafer flattened with then honey currants in it. You know what I mean? Like honey
Right.
things in there, and then like you press and you ate it and it tastes like this.
not my.
Right now
Not
the chief is talking to some gumshoes. Some kids clearly not.
Who was your
getting-
favorite villain? Double Trouble was my favorite.
Double Trouble's really good. That's one of those shows I haven't watched in a long time. Did you ever hear this? Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? It was a big U.S. thing.
Yeah, of course.
She was a
When
fucking
I
mass
first
murderer.
when I first moved to America in 1996, literally I was crashing on my friend's couch before I had a place of my own, and it was like weekday afternoon. I turned on the TV, and what was on TV? Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Which had, if you remember, had that great theme song by Rockapella.
Oh yeah.
Incredible. I love that
She
show.
goes from Nashville to Norway and back.
That was a fucking killer show, man. I was when I was young. I'm like, I could fucking easily win this show. Get me on this fucking show. And we just
Betty Ann wouldn't let you.
No.
She
I'm
didn't
like,
want you to fly too
I
close
would
to the
fucking
sun.
house people on the show. Let me on it.
That's how I felt about Leslie's a hidden temple.
All right, so that was kind of like, right?
It was good.
I mean,
it
here's
was,
the
it was
thing.
plain Jane, but I liked it.
It reminds me of Raisin Bran in every way, in the sense that did I like it? Sure. Would I rather Frosted Flakes? Of course.
But it also
and the
has a
Penguin
kind
was
of
the
like
Frosted
particle
Flakes.
board, sawdust kind of
Yeah,
like,
well,
you
so
know.
does Raisin Bran. So
Yeah, these are very chill. You find these in like the cheap end of the aisle in the supermarket. They're not luxury cookies. It's no individually wrapped in foil Tunnocks tea cake. All right, so I've got two more things. One, I guarantee you will like,
Okay.
which I'm leaving to the end.
Okay.
Cool. It's not spectacular. I just know it's a
And on a high
solid.
note.
It's a solid double up the middle, maybe even a triple. Could even
Baseball
be a
analogy.
homer
Oh,
for
wow.
all of
Okay,
you.
okay.
I'm trying to put it in language you'll
No,
understand.
understand
I
all
appreciate
Now,
that.
this isn't super. This isn't like necessarily super popular, but it must be because again, it's been around since I was a kid, and I'm
Sure.
still able to get them today.
Okay.
This is called a Karamak.
Oh, I'm gonna like this.
Now, you might be interested to try this because it's not really chocolate.
Okay.
It's like I never really figured out what the fuck this is. It's not. It's not milk chocolate. It's not white chocolate. It is, as you'll discover. I'll unwrap one here. It's kind of weirdly in between. It has this kind of beigey thing going on, right? So what is that? I don't know.
So this is interesting. Before you even open it up, it reminded me of a Nestle Crunch bar.
Right.
It's made by
Then you
Nestle.
open it up, and it reminded me of a Nestle Crunch bar.
What it looks like is like we're on Saved by the Bell and we can't afford real there's no real product placement, so they made
Kind
a
of the fake-
Karamak candy.
The fake candy.
Oh, Zach's got to sell these for his ski trip. but he tricked Screech
Why do
to
you sound
buy
so
them all.
angry about it? You sound like really upset about
Cram
it.
these down,
I
Screech's
just
mouth.
don't need to open another bottle.
This one is very much like I never quite figured out what this is or how. I know I like it, but it doesn't taste like anything that I've ever had. So I'd be interested to hear what you make of it.
Try a little piece.
Try a little piece. Won't kill it. No, I have a piece for you over here.
That's
Like,
really
what
good.
is that?
It reminds me of. Do you ever get like pure white chocolate bars? Mm-hmm. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
It's closer to white chocolate than it is, I think,
To
anything
chocolate,
else.
yeah. So to me, it tastes like caramel flavored white chocolate.
And I
what
think
it
that's
tastes
where
like
the caram part of it comes
Yeah.
from, right?
That's
so
good.
This is I think
Dee's
caram.
gonna like that. I'm taking it home for her.
Yeah, have this
more.
one.
Yeah, we
So-
want some of this.
Earlier, I was saying this reminded me of Crunch Bar. I remember in the '90s there was a white chocolate Crunch Bar. That's what this is. It is just a repackaged Crunch Bar.
So it's basically caramel flavored
I know,
white
but
chocolate.
that doesn't
Now that I
matter.
think it's
They
actually
left
not
out the
that
Rice
difficult to
Krispies.
define, that's basically what it is.
What's fun-
caramel flavored white chocolate?
What's funny about eating anything with chocolate in it, because like I'm not, again, I don't find chocolate that offensive. It's like I eat it and I'm like, I just don't like it. You know, it's never
Yeah.
like it's never a thing where I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna
What
fucking
do you think
throw
of it?
up.
It tastes just like sweetened condensed milk.
Huh?
Oh,
Interesting.
Fantastic.
yeah, that's a good ring. That's a ring endorsement. Yeah,
Kevin, do you
Well
think
done,
if we
Kevin.
melted it down and drank it, it would be just as good?
it's healthy for you, probably. Now this is the final one. This is the possible home run, at least a triple.
Wait, but there's one more, isn't there, after this?
There's one more thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna happily. We've got a couple of little things. We've got a tonic tea cake and a penguin that's left over. You guys can fight over those after the show. So, the people who make Tunnocks tea cakes, you'll notice here it says, "Have you tried our milk chocolate caramel wafers?" Well,
Now
I
we're
happen
about
to have them.
yeah.
Now, if you want to talk about an old package,
Yes, look at the old.
that's like
thing.
that's like a
Old school
totally what
kid.
they think a kid would look like in the 1920s. He's out there
These,
selling
I
action
think,
comics.
if I had to guess anything that would be a hit with you,
Yeah.
it would be a toss up between the Tunnocks tea cakes,
Which I love.
or indeed the Tunnocks real milk chocolate caramel wafer biscuits.
Okay.
These
So
are
Tunnocks,
fantastic.
Tunnocks is really the common thread. Then it's just they're on top of their game.
They're the Nestle.
Yeah.
Well, there is the Nestle.
Oh,
Nestle put out Carmack
I was a
over
fan
there.
of them. They were
Again,
good.
this is chocolate, so
No, it's okay. Thank you though.
I'll give you each one of these.
Gotcha.
I already like the feel of it. It's hefty for
Well,
sure.
I'll toss one over to you.
All right.
I'll also actually, this is another one that I haven't
Oh,
had
I
in
see
a real
it, I
long
see it.
time.
Oh,
I think
already like
This
this
is
a
a
lot.
real big wafer.
I think you're gonna like these.
Let's put that bad boy in.
Uh-oh.
The wafer
yeah,
sound
yeah,
is so
no,
nice.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I was a little put off for how big I had to open my mouth to get it in there.
You get
And it was like it was I do, but it was a little too much to handle initially. But then the taste.
It's
hit.
uncompromisingly geometric, right? It's just
Yeah.
just a straight up
It's a-
rectangle.
and it's like
Cuboid.
you need to kind of use some force to get in there. But once it's in there,
Indeed.
Now here's what I like about these. Most of the time when you get the wafer, it's too light. So for how big it is, you bite in, you're like, I'm not getting enough substance.
Oh,
out
you're
of
getting
this.
substance out of this.
This
guy.
is
This
a
thing is
substantial,
dense.
substantial wafer.
Colin
Yeah,
and
it's
I were
got
just
the caramel
talking
inside.
the other day that the adjective doesn't get thrown around enough is girth. This is a girthy. This is a
this
girth.
has some good girth.
I feel like the ratio between the chocolate, the caramel, and the wafer is like just scientifically dead on.
Oh, it's spot on. It's perfect.
That's good. That's
Now,
really
what I'm disappointed in just studying the packages is on Tunnocks tea cakes it says, "Have you tried our milk chocolate caramel wafers?" But nowhere
This doesn't
on the
send you
caramel
back the
wafers
other way.
doesn't send you the other way.
Right. Well, I think what they're assuming is, you know, they measure everything as like, have you tried drinking waters? And, you know, it's like, everyone knows. You don't need to be directed towards Tunnocks tea cakes. This is the
Okay,
this is
fair
the
enough.
lesser known
Okay, fair enough.
product.
I'm sure their data plays that out.
And you notice here they make a point of saying still original size because over the years, candy's gotten smaller.
These
Things like
sons
the
of
Cadbury's cream
bitches.
eggs, they inch them down just ever so slightly every year, and so what you don't notice.
Yeah.
Until one day somebody does like a YouTube video and they say, well, here's a penguin from like 1980 and here's one today. And you go, holy shit, it's like half the size. They have proudly stuck with the original size.
Yeah.
Stupid
good.
Ministry of Health over here.
They're really good.
Get out of my affairs, Prince Charles.
And that boy is stoked on the fucking
He's happy.
on the
You guys
package.
are all done.
Yeah.
Just as a final because I really don't want them around the house. I'm trying to lose a bit of weight. I have
Sure.
an extra box of
Hey!
Tonics tea
Oh,
cakes,
yes.
Nick's face there was awesome.
Well,
which
here's why
I'll
I
happily
know-
donate to you.
You just made my wife happy. I'm going to take a couple of these home for her. Every time we do one of these things,
Well,
she
you have
always
7,
goes,
you see?
Perfect.
Now, Christina want one of these too. You
No,
can't
no, I'm
take
not
them
going to
all.
take 7 of them home. I just want to
And
make
I've
sure
got 3 more of these too.
I'm
that
grabbing-
you didn't eat yet.
I'm grabbing one of those guys.
grabbing one of those.
This is fucking good.
The show's not even over. Everyone's fighting.
Famously, the last time you showed up, we had a bunch
I'm eating
left
it
over,
now.
and my wife actually made herself some tea and ate all of the cookies that we had left over from last
What
time.
did you have left over last time?
I want to say
Hobnobs?
We had hobnobs, which I brought home. What were the ones that were like kind of caramelly? They were like, I want to say they were like, I can't remember.
What
What?
is this?
Oh, that's
I took
another
them all
thing.
home. She ate them all of them. It was like one of each of whatever we had tried, and she was like, she does this thing where she just makes a nice big cup of tea and just goes, one bite, tea, one bite.
Do you think she'll like
tea.
these? The tonics?
She's gonna love all of these. I know right now. Like she'll love this. She's not a huge marshmallow fan, but I'll tell her just to bite into it and be quiet anyway. And then she's probably gonna love this. But she's specifically gonna love that penguin. That penguin's got to come home.
Yeah, there's a penguin. One last penguin.
That's that. And then I'm just gonna surprise her with this, and
You're gonna put it on your steaks and chickens
There's
tonight.
still so much more that I want to bring you, but
Well,
when I went on
you're
my
gonna be back. You're
when I
gonna be
went on
back
my
again.
shopping trip, it was actually hard to find some stuff. So what I'm going to do is like just as I find it, I'm just going to grab it and put it, in a box.
Because none of this
Perfect.
goes bad.
Certainly no worse
Not
than it
for a few
already
days.
is.
Yeah.
What was the standout for you? What was the highlight?
For me, it was the tea cake.
The Tonics tea cake.
I like this tea
I
cake.
think
quite a bit.
I would stake my reputation on that.
I think I'm going with the penguin.
I got to give a shout out to the penguin, but
Yeah.
this thing, man. This is
Caramel
the
red.
one I wanted another of right away.
Oh yeah, you didn't even save it. You went right in for the kill.
Right into it?
You know,
If you had to take it all together
Yeah.
and incorporate what you tried last time, would the hobnob still rule the roost?
I think so because I would eat hobnobs on a regular basis.
Right.
The fact that this is like a s'more all in one, it makes
Yeah.
you question like I shouldn't be eating s'mores every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which
Yeah.
which one was the? It tasted like a hobnob, which was sort of biscuit based, but it had chocolate on top of it.
Oh, that was the chocolate digestive.
That's the one I liked the most. I think it was it kind of had almost a sticky consistency to it when
Yes.
you broke it off. That's the one I took home. My wife I think liked the hobnobs, but I brought a couple of those for myself.
Or was it a toffee pop? I don't remember if I
No,
brought
We didn't
it
have
was, it was
toffee
the
pops.
digestive.
We
Well,
didn't have
I
toffee
remember
pops
thinking
is
this
one of the things I want to bring you next time.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna. It's become harder because they've passed these bullshit laws now, like Nestle and these other guys don't want you to realize that American chocolate is inferior, so they won't let you import this stuff anymore. It's getting harder and harder to bring it in. Like the stores that would bring it in and sell it on to you, at a marked up price. It's illegal now.
Okay.
And so it's harder and harder to find this stuff. They just want you to eat like the inferior Hershey's branded version of the same product. Like if you go out and buy Cadbury's Dairy Milk, that's not real Cadbury's Dairy Milk here. It's made by the Hershey company and it's shit. You got to find the real Cadbury's stuff. Yeah. You can always tell the difference because it's the stuff that
Every sentence begins.
it has like
I was about to say you made it this whole episode. without doing it.
It has a different kind of label on the back, which, see here? See where they've stuck over a different label? Because the label underneath this is a British label that doesn't conform to the USDA nutrition fact guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
So after they've imported it, they've stuck this label over it to make it, I don't know, legal or whatever. So if you're ever looking for like the real imported shit, always look for the label that they stuck over the existing one.
Gotcha.
And that's how you know.
Good pro tip from Gary
All right.
Whitta.
For
Thank
anyone
you.
who's out there looking for this stuff, we turned on quite a few people to this stuff last time, I think.
I bought it. I
A lot
started
of people
buying it at the
tweeting
store.
pictures to you and me of like Jaffa cakes and hobnobs and things that they'd found at the store.
Right.
It was great.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary.
It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it very much.
Well, we're not giving you your outro yet. I was thanking you for the cookies and everything else.
Oh, okay. Well, you're welcome to those too, of course.
Thank you
I'm
very
glad
much.
there's a little bit left over as well, like there was last time.
Me too. Gary,
Yes.
did you know that this topic was brought to you by Squarespace?
I didn't, but I'm thrilled to hear that.
And that's a real thing because you use Squarespace just like we do for your site, right?
I'm not even making this up. It's actually just a really cool coincidence in that, yes, I decided the other day that not the other day, but sometime last year, I wanted to redo my website. I used to own GaryWhitta.com, and I let it lapse, and it got taken over by a Japanese vacuum cleaner site,
That is awesome.
which I actually thought was kind of cool.
You're the literal Mr. Sparkle.
That sucks.
I thought I should just let that stand.
I see what you
Thank you,
did
guys.
there.
Thank you. Thank
He
you.
said that sucks.
Oh, I see.
See, it's a play on words.
I thought I
'cause
should
it
just
was
let
like-
that stand, and then that lapsed, and it was just a dead domain. So I got the domain back, and I thought, well, if I have it, I should at least do something. But I have no idea how to do websites, and there's all these sites these days saying like, we'll just like make it super easy for you. And I can't remember even how I heard of Squarequest, but I actually built like a decent looking website on my own. And I'm clueless at this stuff. So I can
We were the same way.
realistically endorse Squarespace.
Kindoffunny.com is on Squarespace as well too. Nick didn't know what the hell he's doing.
Exactly.
Still
Still don't.
doesn't.
Still have no
I
idea.
think he does different things. You can build sites that look professionally designed regardless of skill level, just like us. There's no coding required, and there's intuitive, easy to use tools. Squarespace is state-of-the-art technology powering your site to ensure security and stability. It's trusted by millions of people and some of the most respected brands in the world, like Kind of Funny and Gary Whitta, the vacuum company. It starts at $8 a month, but you can get a free domain if you sign up for a year. So what you guys need to do is when you decide to sign up for Squarespace, go over there and make sure to use the offer code KINDOFFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace! Build it beautiful. And of course, Squarespace, thank you for sponsoring this episode. And thank you, Gary Whitta, for coming by, period.
I'm like I said, I always enjoy it here. I love talking to you guys. It's always fun to see you try the snacks. Like I said, I'll try and bring back a even more interesting and varied selection next time.
All right. Everybody go buy Abomination. I think we cleared it off the table at some way. It's a book.
Yes, get
It's right over there.
Kevin.
Kevin's on the move.
You
Don't
had one
break
job.
anything, Kevin.
Don't get it
And my
sticky.
one moment
Is it
of
sticky?
shameless plugging.
This is signed.
It's out now. I signed this one, so these guys will
go
help you with
to
the contest. to win it.
kindoffunny.com/forum. Go over there and you get it.
But only one of you can win this, so the rest of you have to go to Amazon and buy
Right.
it.
The link is in the description of this video. Kevin, make a note to do that. Look at him do it. Look at him correct you. You have a Star Wars film coming out. People should see that.
Yeah, Star Wars Rogue One comes out December 16th next year,
That's awesome.
and it's going to be a lot of fun.
And you're doing a bunch of other stuff that I'm sure you'll be back to promote that when you do that, right?
No doubt.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show each and every week. 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindoffunny. Throw us a few bucks and you get every episode early. If you don't have any money, it's no big deal. Starting on Monday the following week, youtube.com/kindoffunny has it broken out topic by topic, day by day, until we post the entire show for free as an MP3 and video. Gary, I love you. This has been a great episode. You did
I love
really
it.
good.
Always enjoy coming here.
All right. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
You got the bacon, you got the hard-boiled egg. Sometimes they toss some
Nick's all about
guacamole in
that.
there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I tend to keep the blue cheese off, though. Not because I don't
Oh, I
like
love the
blue
blue
cheese.
cheese, too.
I like the blue cheese too much.
You come a hair towards me, Gary, and we'll get Colin a hair closer to
Do you
you.
want me? Where do you want me over here?
Just a little bit closer to me. Just come this way. There you go.
All right.
No, towards me. Come here.
And you can
Get in
you
here.
can
Don't be
drop.
afraid. Don't be afraid.
Really? This is. I mean, we're definitely inside my comfort zone.
Well, then I'm just saying. Colin's hiding behind Tim. I got a whole bunch of people with great comfort zones. You can split the difference.
Heads up, here's being recorded.
You can go. You can split the difference.
What do you
Put
want?
all this at the end of the podcast. Let them know how the sausage gets made. The English sausage.
You can drop down Gary's mic a little bit, Kev, because it looks like it's covering his entire face.
All right, let's. How's that? I don't know how that sounds. Okay,
Sounds fantastic.
good,
Gravy.
good. I love that you don't have to wear podcasts on this. Sorry, headphones on this podcast.
Yeah.
We should, but
I have to do that on Sam. It's just really annoying.
I know.
I feel like as long as
You're
you've got like
supposed
one
to.
person wearing them, and that's all you need.
Somebody's testing.
What's
Somebody's out
fun
there
is
looking.
that Kevin actually, if anything goes wrong, we just blame it on him anyway. It's his fault.
Well, it's always his fault.
So
Because he's the only one who has
that's-
any responsibility for the
He's
show.
the sin eater in this group.
Similar to the Sun Eater that I've been talking about so much
Yes,
lately.
yes.
Nice. Good
So
job.
wait,
We have time for you.
we'll talk about this after.
Yeah, okay, don't worry about
Okay,
it.
all right. I read
ready, Kev?
Endgame last night, but I missed one comic, so I was like, that was a really weird ending.
And I told him it
Greg's
was like,
like,
you don't
"You
have the
idiot,
ending.
there's
You need
another
to buy
end."
the ending. I told him
Yeah.
that before he took the books.
He
He's
did.
like, okay.
Wait, you read what?
Batman
Batman
Endgame.
Endgame.
Oh, that's all you read? You didn't read the other ones leading up to it?
No, should have probably. They reference a lot of the roughly 34 books that came before
Yeah.
it. So yeah,
They do.